All right, everybody, we simply cannot wait any longer. There is too much to talk about. It is VP debate day. Tonight will be the one and only vice presidential debate between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. It's not Kamala. I will not be doing a Gregorian chant of her name mispronounced as Donald Trump has been doing at his pre-COVID rallies. We also have a new video, fresh video, from Captain COVID himself, looking not only orange, but orange and bruised from the White House, which I will be playing for you a little bit later. We are monitoring multiple streams. We have so much going on, and I do want to just get ahead of a possible problem. The weather is very, very bad in New England today, and there are many people in the region without power. Family and friends have lost power, and I am hoping that it will not happen to me during this live stream. That would be absolutely horrible. We want to be here fully and powerfully for the entire debate, which starts at the top of the hour. So we've got about a half hour to talk about a lot of different things. Also, very, very important, I will be debuting. Many of you have heard the song Plasma by Joe Woodward, one of our great viewers, an original. I think it's the song of the summer, quite frankly. Joe has released a second track called Don't Be Afraid. And you might remember Donald Trump saying recently, don't be afraid of coronavirus. Don't let it dominate you. So I have a second track. This is potentially Grammy level work, which I will be debuting for you before the start of the debate, if things go right. But we will see about that and more songs coming. So before we jump into some of the memes, videos, songs, and images that I have for you, I want to allow more people to connect. And so I'm going to just start looking at some of the messages that have been coming in. I want to say thanks to Kelly Wiegand, who subscribed via Twitch, who says your channel is the only way I'm able to get through this election. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm Inconsolable, a top gifter of subs on Twitch, says, what a ride. You've made it bearable and shockingly fun. That's good. If we can tolerate the insanity, learn something, and have a good time doing it, you know, you got to take your wins where you can get them. I don't know what else to tell you. Let's see. What else do we have going on? Let me look at a few super chats here, and a lot of them have already. Oh, wow. Look at all these YouTube members that have come in already. That is insane. Wow. Let's focus on the super chats, though. Wow, that's dizzying. A dizzying number of YouTube subscribers. Where are we? Here we go. Chakaseki says, I wonder if Mother will make Pence don his chastity belt on stage. We wouldn't want him to behave improperly because of another woman now, would we? Yeah, listen, should this debate even be happening? I mean, fortunately, they've agreed to plexiglass. But in all seriousness, does this make any sense during a pandemic during which super spreader Captain COVID, also known as Mango Mussolini, also known as the Tangerine Terror, has spread coronavirus? He likely had it last Saturday. He likely had it on stage with Joe Biden on Tuesday. Should this even be going on? It's very unclear to me. Very, very unclear. Chakaseki also chiming in with the message, does Regeneron give you Addison's disease because Trump looks more orange in his latest video than JFK after a Cheese Whiz wrestling competition? Very well said. Yeah, we're going to play that video, but Trump is looking more mango than ever. And I will not be voting mango this election. Brian says, David, shouldn't Biden insist on a full account of the timeline of Trump's infection, including dates of tests before he will agree to be on stage with him? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And in fact, let's just do that briefly. I do have some video. Check this out. This is Mark Meadows again asked the simple question, when did Trump last test negative? And he just won't answer.
And there are a lot of things we still don't know. We're listening to the physicians and all the statements they put out, but we don't know when his last negative test was. Will we?
Well,
No.
we don't normally get into the testing protocol for the president. Obviously,
What does that mean normally? It's like as if it's typical that they have a policy for how to handle testing reporting during pandemics for this guy's been in his job, what, 6 months?
the doctor has already spoken about that it was a positive test on last Thursday evening.
Right. But the question is, when was the last negative test? Not when did Trump admit to a positive test?
He was confirmed to have the coronavirus, and obviously the doctor here, the White House doctor, kicked into gear with making sure that he was protected and had the medical treatment that was proper. I can tell you that from our standpoint, I think the doctor put out today that there were no antibodies with the amount of review that was done that particular night.
This guy, he's just blabbering and blabbering and blabbering. But the answer is he's not going to tell us. He's not going to tell us when Donald Trump last tested negative. And every indication that Donald Trump was likely contagious on Tuesday of the debate. Whether he had tested positive at that point and they decided to hide it, we don't know. But certainly positive, certainly contagious by that time, according to every doctor that I have spoken with. Let me say thank you to Scott Fredrickson, who is supporter. Scott, you're a very special person today. Scott is supporter number 1 during the stream. We had 338 last debate. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And Scott is that first step today. Also, thanks to Cobfeffi Drinker for subscribing with Twitch Prime, as well as Vargos, Upnup, and Titan, or Titan. Unsure exactly on the pronunciation there. Unknown Prodigy says, off topic, but great job interviewing the Mooch. Good job letting him speak. Interview revealed a lot of interesting info. Yes, yesterday I interviewed Anthony the Mooch Scaramucci. The full interview is on my YouTube channel. And he describes what is it like behind the scenes when Trump lies in public. And he describes a confrontation of Trump after Trump lied in public. And it is very interesting. I encourage you to check it out. Very, very compelling stuff. Chris Hawkins says, what's the probability that Trump will be physically about to do the next debate with Biden? Trump will be physically about to do the next debate with Biden. I'm not sure I understand, Chris, but from what we've been told, Trump plans to do the debate. That's what we've been told so far. Henry Hank Jones sends a congratulations. Chris says, oh, I meant physically able. Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, I assume that Trump is not going to want a drug test if he makes it to the next debate. Let me put it that way. But I would not be shocked to see that debate happen. Clausible says, how's it going? Going well. Sam says, watching along, mate. Best of luck with today's nonsense. Anything in particular you'd like to see asked from both sides of the fence? What I want to see is Kamala really seize on the failures on coronavirus, because almost no matter what Mike Pence tries to attack her on, she can say the infection that you as the czar, Mike, you were the czar. You allowed your boss to get the virus. You allowed half the West Wing to get the virus, and you allowed 220,000 people to die. You have no standing, and it is an emergency to remove you. I want her going aggressive. Kamala's very good. I assume she will be well prepared, but you never know what Mike Pence is going to come prepared with something. He will come prepared with some misdirection, some red herring, some straw man or straw woman or straw person. And hopefully Kamala is prepared for whatever Pence throws at her. We will see. Jess says, thanks for my work. I appreciate that. David R. says, hey, David, with a $20 super chat, 20, the most powerful super chat so far today. David says, hey, David, watching the Rising show and reading other commentary, they think Biden has done no campaigning and hasn't talked much policy, so he brings no progressive change. This is wrong. Childcare, tax, energy. I don't watch any shows like that. I don't know what they've been saying, but when I say that if Joe Biden is president, he would be the president with the most progressive policy in American history, the most progressive platform in American history, it's not a meaningless statement. It would literally be the truth. If you look at taxation, capital gains, uncapping Social Security taxes at $400,000, you look at clean energy. I mean, it's whether he gets it done or not is a fair question. And that's a fair question of any candidate. But this is the reality. And we are going to be covering that more and very powerfully very, very soon. I want to say thanks to David Braver, who's new member number 2 today at joinpacman.com, and Shanice Morrison, who is new member number 3. We're doing something special today. We are including both website memberships and Patreon in our goal to get, we're initially trying to get to 25. Last debate, we got to 338, but we're trying to get to 25. It all counts today, my friends. Thank you. Let's see here. Desiree DeWitt says Mike Pence, the pious, feckless incumbent, versus Kamala, his smart, pragmatic, better qualified replacement. Fingers crossed tonight goes well for her. Well said, Desiree. Sunil Motwani says, David, can you address the ramifications of Trump's dexamethasone treatment? The crash coming off this drug could be quite substantial. Thanks. Yeah, so the dexamethasone may be affecting Trump. It may be and will affect Trump in 2 ways. Not my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but I've spoken to doctors about this already. Number one, dexamethasone, like many steroids, can cause mania, euphoria, and delusions of grandeur. And with Trump often has this manic tendency, and he's always delusional in terms of his self-importance. And so when we see Trump acting 15% crazier than normal on Twitter, it could be the Dex. There's no question about it. On the other hand, coming down from it may leave Donald Trump feeling far worse. Trump talking about how great he feels now. That could be the roid-induced euphoria. So we just don't know, but it's certainly a serious, very, very serious question. Thanks to Phased Plasma Rifle, or Plasma, as some say, for gifting a subscription on Twitch. I very much appreciate that. Chakaseki says, what do you call Mike Pence when he hosts a head-to-head town hall on Christmas at midnight? A mass debater. Mass debater. That's great. I like that. That's genius. Bay Photo says there's zero excuses for this debate to be anything other than a layup for Harris. Look at the plexiglass. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. She should bring up, by the way, that Pence was resisting the plexiglass. I think that would be an important thing to do. Big thank you to Casimir Klaus Pamikala. I apologize, Casimir. I'm doing the best I can. Who is new member number 4 today. And Cole Gala, or Gala, as some say, who is new member number 5 at joinpacman.com. Okay, because we're now getting closer to the start of the debate, let's look at a couple of different things. Donald Trump, first and foremost, has been tweeting uncontrollably all day, much of it in all caps, conspiracies. I'm not even going to insult you guys. I respect you all too much to insult you by reading some of these tweets, but it is on and on and on. 22 minutes ago, 59 minutes ago, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours ago, 6 hours ago, 6 hours, all day. But the one thing I do want to look at is this very bizarre video that Donald Trump published 2 hours ago. Now, the reason I'm muting it right now is before we listen to what he says, I want you to look at his physical appearance. Where to even start? So his face looks completely bruised. Now, is it just that they've gone overboard on the orange makeup because Trump looks ill? It's possible. Now, a few people wrote to me and said, David, the weird lighting is because you can tell that he's kind of standing where tree branches most likely are blocking sunlight to parts of his face and putting very bright light on parts of his face. And that's the explanation. I think it's the opposite. I think that they deliberately put him under the weird sunlight in order to plausibly argue that that's what's weird. But I believe Trump's face, his right cheekbone looks completely bruised. He looks more orange than ever, and he has seemingly reverse lipstick. His lips look white. And that may be the case because the rest of his face is so orange, he may cover his lips when he gets the spray tan. It is a bizarre appearance. And I know that, you know, what is the relevance of this? The relevance is that he is not doing well. It is not, you know, I personally don't care if he's purple as long as he's a good president, and he's not. Let's now listen to what he had to say. And you'll notice his voice still sounding very strange.
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
Already very weird. Already very weird for just the first 3 seconds.
and I'm standing in front of the Oval Office at the White House, which is always an exciting place to be. I got back a day ago from Walter Reed Medical Center.
Now, you might remember that Trump actually got back 2 days ago from Walter Reed Medical Center. This raises two questions. One, that Trump doesn't know what day it is or what time it is, or that this was actually recorded yesterday. Both are possibilities.
Spent 4 days there and didn't have to. I could have stayed at the White House, but the doctor said, because you're president.
Wait a second.
A day ago from Walter Reed Medical Center. I spent 4 days there.
He also didn't spend 4 days there. He was there on Saturday and Sunday and then part of Monday. So it's already very, very strange. He has basic facts wrong about time.
And didn't have to. I could have stayed at the White House, but the doctor said, because you're president, let's do it. I said, fine. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to listen. These are great professionals. They've done a fantastic job. And by the way, not only at Walter Reed, all over the country, we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have the greatest nurses, the greatest first responders, law enforcement.
So his voice sounds strained, and he's mush-mouthed, and that could be medication, could be breathing issue, could be anything.
Enforcement, by the way, incredible. Firefighters, everybody, they're just great. We have great people.
So now you hear some kind of a vehicle reversing in the background, and it's like, maybe you do another take, you don't include the vehicle reversing.
Great country. But I spent 4 days there, and I went in, I wasn't feeling so hot, and within a very short period of time, they gave me Regeneron. It's called Regeneron, and other things too, but I think this was the key. But they gave me Regeneron, and it was like unbelievable. I felt good immediately. I felt as good 3 days ago as I do now. So I just want to say, we have Regeneron, we have a very similar drug from Eli Lilly, and they're coming out, and we're trying to get them on an emergency basis.
So this seems like a Trump who has no idea. He really seems like he's not doing well. This is a totally different Trump. He seems barely connected to what he's saying.
Authorized it. I've authorized it. And if you're in the hospital and you're feeling really bad, I think we're going to work it so that you get them, and you're going to get them free. And especially if you're a senior, we're going to get you in there quick.
So this seems crazy, because at last count, I thought that only 10 people had received this antibody cocktail from Regeneron. It's not even approved. Trump's now talking about just giving it out for free. I mean, maybe, but it just seems very unlikely.
We have hundreds of thousands of doses that are just about ready. I have emergency use authorization all set, and we got to get it signed now. And you're going to get better. You're going to get better really fast. This is things that nobody even thought of a few months ago. The job that the scientists, the labs, everybody have done is incredible. Then in addition to that, you have various other drugs that help a lot. But these, I view these, I know they call them therapeutic, but to me, it wasn't therapeutic. It just made me better.
Oh, okay.
I call that a
well, that's, I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not even going to go into that.
Cure. So I want to get these things done. So we have to get them done. We have to get them approved. I want to get them to the hospitals where people are feeling badly. It's much more important to me than the vaccine. But on the vaccines, we have many companies that are in final stages for the vaccines. Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, all great companies, but many of them. And we're going to have a great vaccine very, very shortly. I think we should have it before the election, but frankly, the politics gets involved, and that's okay.
You know, it's impossible to know. People in the Twitch chat are making a good point. It's unclear if Trump is speaking this way because of the things he's on, or because he's off of stuff and this is sick Trump. Like, I have no idea, honestly. I have no clue.
They want to play their games. It's going to be right after the election. But we did it, nobody else. Nobody else would have been able to do it. The FDA has acted as quickly as they've ever acted in history. There's never been a time, and no president's ever pushed them like I pushed them either, to be honest with you.
All right. Yeah,
but
that's
the
true.
FDA is approving things in a matter of weeks that used to take a matter of years. So we have these drugs, Eli Lilly, and...
Okay, hold on. People are saying at 150 he coughs. Let me check that out, and then we'll go back up to the 3-minute mark.
A few months ago. The job that the scientists, the labs, everybody have done is incredible. Then in addition to that, you have various other
Oh, I didn't even notice the cut.
that-
Oh my God, I was looking at chat when that happened. That's a crazy jump. Yeah. So clearly he must have had a coughing fit or something like that. Okay, let's watch just a little bit more.
A short 24 hours later, I was feeling great. I wanted to get out of the hospital. And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to be given the same treatment as your president.
Right. Well,
Because
not everybody's going to get a 6-room suite at Walter Reed or a helicopter ride, unfortunately. Many people are going to get nothing, unfortunately.
I feel great. I feel like perfect. So I think this was a blessing from God that I caught it.
There you
This
go.
was a blessing in disguise. I caught it. I heard about this drug. I said, let me take it. It was my suggestion. I said, let me take it. And it was incredible the way it worked. Incredible. And I think if I didn't catch it, we'd be looking at that like a number of other drugs. But it really did a fantastic job. I want to get for you what I got.
Okay, so anyway, this is clearly, I mean, it's not going very well, as you all can tell, and just an no hydroxy, by the way. He did not receive hydroxy, as many of you know, but Trump doesn't look good. He doesn't look good. Okay, a few other. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get caught up here. If you're just joining us, we're at 15 minutes from the start of the debate. Glad you're with me. Wesley Radburn is new member number 6 today. Stephen Jessup is number 7. Rebecca Eisner is number 8. Dag Makara is number 9. Jennifer Gosley is new member number 10. Stella Archer is number 11. Melissa Green is number 12. Thomas Voorhees is number 13. Ellen Jones is 14. Jason McKeenan is number 15. And Betty Morgan via Patreon, also known as, is number 16. Which I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, I have people asked. I got two different. Actually, let's do this next. Okay, couple different things. We had some great media elements since the last debate. Okay, these are all on my Instagram. You should be following me on Instagram at david.pacman. If you're not, I don't know how you get through the day, to be perfectly frank. But we got a great piece in The Wrap a few days ago. Rise of indie news creators. Less than half of YouTube's most watched news channels tied to legacy brands. Excellent article. And then this, I think the Twitch chat will appreciate this. There was an article in none other than the New York Times written about my and other coverage of the debate on Twitch. And this is the part about me. This is so great. Nearly 52,000 of those people follow David Pacman. It's now 53,000 on Twitch. By the way, I don't want to pretend. I don't want to disappear 1,000 of you. It's now 53, but it was 52 last week. Who had a relatively restrained approach to covering the debate on Twitch. I think that is like half the debate. I was like this. That's, I think, what they mean. Mostly, he listened as the candidates shouted over each other. Shortly before 10 p.m., with more than half an hour left, he seemed ready to give up. This is the downfall of American democracy, people, he said. I really should turn it off. This is sad. That is an emblematic quote from my coverage of last week's debate. That's absolutely true. But the point is, thanks to the people watching on Twitch, I very much appreciate it. And we are at 53,000 onward and upward. People asking about this video. This is also on my Instagram. This is just video of me juking out some puppies. Check this out. Boom, boom. Okay, so I do one juke, but then here's the big one. Look at that fancy footwork, and the dogs just run into each other, and I'm gone. Look at that. I actually got a call from Belichick after this, asking if I could work with some of the running backs. And I said, you got bigger, I've got bigger fish to fry. We're trying to get Trump out. But that is, I mean, the dogs just collapsed, unable to cover me there. And then, one of them able to sort of come back, but they didn't stand a chance. There it is. Boom, boom, boom. And then gone. Just before they know it, I'm 50 yards away. There's just no way to stop. Anyway, follow me on Instagram for stuff like that. David.Pacman on Instagram. Okay, very good. And then, so here's the last thing I was going to mention before we get back to your messages and other things. During the last debate, we gained on YouTube 6,846 YouTube subscribers. That's 6846. Incredible. Just our best stream ever last Tuesday. And I don't know how we will do today. We will see. My instinct is there's typically less interest in the VP debates. The counter would be, with everything going on with Captain COVID and half the White House having the coronavirus and all of that stuff, maybe there will be more interest. We just don't know. We really just don't know. Okay. Other super chats that are coming in. Let's do a couple of super chats. David, have you addressed your egregious clickbait the other day on Twitter? Trump collapses. Okay, so let me address that. Last Tuesday, we did a video about a press conference that Trump did, and we titled the video, Trump Collapses at Disgusting Press Briefing or something like that. Then Trump got coronavirus, but that video didn't publish until Saturday. We had forgotten about it because it was a Tuesday video. The video publishes with the title, Trump Collapses at Press Briefing. And people said, David, he has coronavirus, now collapses. People are going to think you mean it literally, not metaphorically. I immediately felt bad about it. We made a mistake. I instantly changed it. Oh, what's going on? Okay, it's about to start. I instantly changed it to Trump implodes. I assumed nobody would take implodes literally. And you guys were right on that. You guys were completely right on that. Okay, very powerful. This is what we call the max out super chat. Matt Wilson with a $500 super chat. Matt, I can't thank you enough. Matt says, thank you for keeping me sane. If some longtime red states go blue, does that lend any credence to accelerationist ideas? No, I don't think so. I personally dislike The View and am horrified by the last 4 years. P.S. A combination show and bonus show format would be great, so I don't have to pull over to change it up. That would be helpful. Wow. Matt, I am going to personally look into that for you. Although in the past, people tend to have not liked that idea. I'm going to look into that for you more than very strongly. I appreciate the support very, very much. Okay, a couple other things. There is new polling that is disastrous for Donald Trump, okay? We have look at this. Arizona, Biden +2. Wisconsin, Biden +5. Ohio, Biden +1. Pennsylvania, Biden +5. Pennsylvania, Biden +13. Florida, Biden up 4 and 11. Iowa, 5. Nevada, 6. West Virginia, Trump 18. The West Virginia numbers are terrible. Let me explain why. In 2016, Trump won West Virginia by 42. If Trump only wins West Virginia by 18, it would be very bad for him. 4 more general election polls. Fox says Biden +10, Biden +9, according to Economist, Biden +12, according to Reuters, and Biden +12, according to Rasmussen, which often has the best numbers for Trump. So really bad. What does this mean for us? Nothing, nothing, nothing. It means you only have... There's a hair on my microphone. There we go. My hair is not that long. That's weird. It means nothing other than you absolutely must vote. That is all that we have to do. Okay, what else do we have going on here? Okay. I have a new debut song for you. This is the original hit debuted on my channel from Joseph Woodward. This is Plasma, the song of the summer, just as a reminder.
To make a truly historic announcement in our battle against the China virus that will save countless lives.
Beautiful.
Convalescent, strong antibodies from the blood of recovered patients to help treat patients battling a current infection. Convalescent is the only possible, and it's only made possible because...
Okay, so anyway, that when raves come back after coronavirus, that is going to be the song that people are going to be going bonkers with light sticks and ecstasy to. So that's crazy. Now, I have a new release. We are just moments from the VP debate. I have a new, fresh track from Joe Woodward. You can see it even has a great, oh wait, hold on. I can't even show it to you. That doesn't work. We even have a great, wait, can I do it this way? There it is. An accompanying image here of Donald Trump. I guess this is when Donald Trump did WWE. This is called Don't Be Afraid of It. This is definitely lower key. This is not as much of a pump up track, but I think it's beautifully done. World premiere, ladies and gentlemen, world premiere of Don't Be Afraid of It. Take a look.
Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. I just left Walter Reed Medical Center. so much in coronavirus. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. Don't be afraid of it. Felt great, like better than I have in a long time. Don't be afraid of it.
Wow.
I didn't feel so good. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the coronavirus. Don't be afraid of it. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know. Be afraid of it. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Be afraid of it. Don't let that happen. We're the greatest country in the world. Be afraid of it. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it.
Beautiful.
But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there. Be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and they're all happening.
Okay, it's so good. I mean, Joseph Woodward is really a national treasure, and I've encouraged Joseph to keep it going because those are some really, really powerful tracks. And at some point, I could even see doing a. Yeah, I do want to do the drum track myself to something. I'm still working on getting all of that set up properly. I'm having a technical issue still, but I would even contribute. It would be interesting to do a track that mixes my something I say on the show, audio samples of me with audio samples of Trump. Anyway, it's stunning. I mean, just really, really great material. Okay, we are 4 minutes from the start of this debate. I want to remind you, and this is I'm making a plea for support. This program primarily is supported by memberships at joinpacman.com. Okay, if you hate me, forget about it. If you think what I do is worthless, get the hell out of here or stay, but don't send me a penny. I don't want a penny. I don't want a dime. I don't want a nickel or a quarter or a $50 or any of it. If you sort of like what we do here and you think it's worth something, consider getting a membership at joinpacman.com. You can use the coupon code right above me, which expires on Election Day. Sorry, I froze there. It expires on Election Day. 2020 now is the coupon code. You save 66%. Everybody is pleased, and we will continue filling up this blue bar. But we have quadrupled the website resources at joinpacman.com to be able to handle the traffic we hope, not expect, hope will hammer the website today. And last debate, we had 338 people sign up. Let's do it. Let's do it. And let's listen to what's going on here.
The two candidates on the stage, they'll come on the stage simultaneously. That'll be a time to applaud. And then applaud again at the very end of the debate. But if you could keep, restrain your enthusiasm between those two times, I'd appreciate it. And if you could send me a little good karma, that would also be appreciated, but quietly. I'm going now to sit down and get settled and turn my back to you, but not in a rude way. And I'll see you on the other side. Thanks again for being here.
All right. So a lot of very powerful and important admonishments coming forward here. We are standing by for the start of this debate. Just have a couple of streams going at once. Always want to be very, very well prepared to have the best stream possible for you guys. And we are getting very, very close. Let's see if we can get a couple of other super chats in before things start. Ramsey asks whether Trump is trapped in a social media echo chamber. By and large, yeah. What's up, my homies? Says your Twitch plugin just says subscribers. I just fixed it. Yeah, I don't know why it moves throughout the day, but 1271 from the standpoint of Twitch. We love it. What else do we have here? Stephanie Berg says, play that music during the debate in the background. It is a great track. It is really, really a great track. L Diner Productions asks if I'm concerned about a possible Bush-Gore scenario in 2020. How do we prevent this and ensure states are not called early before mail-in votes are counted? Everybody knows to expect the mail-in ballots. So I don't think the concern is it might take too long to get the results. That's the concern. Okay. I'm seeing new members come in, Michael Como and Paul Pennington and others. I am going to keep tabs on the exact number as the debate gets going. I want to spend as much time now with your messages, but I'm seeing every single one of those new memberships. I appreciate it. And remember, before we do get started, hit that subscribe button for me on YouTube. Hit that follow button on Twitch. I mentioned earlier, last debate, 6,846 people added subscriptions on YouTube, which is crazy. It's crazy. And we want to do as best we can today as well. Ryan says, they're calling me a super spreader. No other president has been as tremendous at spreading COVID as your favorite president. Sean Tidro loves the high energy today. You're making me and my soon-to-be wife crack up. Yeah, COVID wedding during COVID phase has been weird. I'm scheduled to go to a wedding in Italy in a year, actually in 11 months. You guys think it'll happen? I don't know. I hope it does. I would love nothing more than to be in Italy sipping cappuccino in 11 months. Thanks to Aunt Fufu for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Constipated Crow has subscribed and says, I actually really love the Joe Woodward track. The beat is seriously fire. Absolutely. It's an incredible track. We're going to revisit it after the debate for sure. Thanks also to Smooth Lifey, who has subscribed on Twitch. John Jerabek says, David, thank you for all the amazing content and level-headedness. I've been a daily follower for 4 years. Seeing your recent influx of new subs gives me a hair of hope for the future. Keep up the vibes. Thank you. It's all because of you guys. I appreciate it. Eric says, hey, David, thanks for all the live coverage. I watch your videos almost every day. It's nice to have a news source outside of CNN, MSNBC, sending positive vibes from Canada. Thank you. I really appreciate that. We are going to keep super chats up the entire debate. So if you have something you want to communicate to the 30,000 people, wow, that are watching right now, please, 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 by all means, go ahead and send that in. We are also starting a stream on Facebook right now, and we will see if anybody ends up joining us on Facebook. We are just moments from the start of the debate.
Interrupting Biden and the moderator. Both the Pence and Harris camps say they have tested negative for COVID, but because of the president's diagnosis, additional social distancing rules have been instituted for this debate at the request of the Biden-Harris campaign. Plexiglass barriers have been placed between the candidates who will be seated. Tonight's moderator is Susan Page of USA Today. I'm in our NewsHour studio. Our reporters and analysts.
All right, so we're getting very, very close to the start of this. As you can see, the tension is building incredibly. We'll keep an eye on what's going on live in the room. TWZ wants to know if I like orange pop. You know, I haven't had a soda other than when I was in Spain or Mexico and had real Coke sweetened with sugar. Other than those few Cokes, I have not had a soda in probably a decade. So I am not well positioned to comment on orange pop at this point in time. And I think that I actually respect when somebody doesn't know about something, say you're not the right person to comment. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know. At this point, I've been out of the soda game for so long. I really could not intelligently comment about that. Mark Saxon says, thanks for your debate streams. Makes them way more entertaining. That's why I'm here. And to fact check. Both very, very important. No, I am not, for lack of a better term, I have not been soda popping. That is true. People accurately understanding that. David, will you please exclaim, let's get ready to rumble just before the debate starts? No. One of the Buffer brothers, I think is it Bruce or Michael Buffer? I don't remember which is which. I believe holds copyright to that. And since we are not a nonprofit, I need to be very, very careful as far as that goes. So I'm not going to be doing that in any kind of performative way. That would not be good. Yes, people pointing out we have surpassed the 30,000 viewer mark on YouTube and wondering what's the target. So our peak concurrent during the debate number 1 was 64,000 across all platforms, 64,000. Right now we're at 31, 32, 34, and it is starting.
Utah in Salt Lake City. Welcome to the first and only vice presidential debate of 2020.
Huge.
Sponsored by the Nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates.
Wow.
I'm Susan Page of USA Today. It is my honor to moderate this debate, an important part of our democracy. In Kingsbury Hall tonight, we have a small and socially distant audience.
Yes.
And we've taken extra precautions during this pandemic. Among other things, everyone in the audience is required to wear a face mask, and the candidates will be seated 12 feet apart. The audience is enthusiastic about their candidates, but they've agreed to express that enthusiasm only twice, at the end of the debate and now when I introduce the candidates. Please welcome California Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only vice presidential debate. Oh my God, Pence looks like he's perfect. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Wow. Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Senator Harris and Vice President Pence, thank you for being here. We're meeting as President Trump and the First Lady continue to undergo treatment in Washington after testing positive for COVID-19. We send our thoughts and prayers to them for their rapid and complete recovery and for the recovery of everyone afflicted by the coronavirus. The two campaigns and the Commission on Presidential Debates have agreed to the ground rules for tonight. I'm here to enforce them on behalf of the millions of Americans who are watching. One note, no one in either campaign or at the commission or anywhere else has been told in advance what topics I'll raise or what questions I'll ask.
Love it.
This 90-minute debate will be divided into 9 segments of about 10 minutes each. I'll begin a segment by posing a question to each of you, sometimes the same question, sometimes a different question on the same topic. You will then have 2 minutes to answer without interruption by me or the other candidate.
Right.
Then we'll take 6 minutes or so to discuss the issue.
Love it.
At that point, although there will always be more to say, we'll move on to the next topic. We want a debate that is lively, but Americans also deserve a discussion that is civil. These are tumultuous times, but we can and will have a respectful exchange about the big issues facing our nation.
See that look, guys? That was weird.
Let's begin with the ongoing pandemic that has cost our country so much. Senator Harris, the coronavirus is not under control. Over the past week, Johns Hopkins reports that 39 states have had more COVID cases over the past 7 days than in the week before. 9 states have set new records. Even if a vaccine is released soon, the next administration will face hard choices. What would a Biden administration do in January and February that a Trump administration wouldn't do? Would you impose new lockdowns for businesses and schools and hotspots? A federal mandate to wear masks? You have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Thank you, Susan. Well, the American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country.
Here we go.
And here are the facts. 210,000 dead people in our country in just the last several months. Over 7 million people who have contracted this disease. 1 in 5 businesses closed. We're looking at frontline workers who have been treated like sacrificial workers. We are looking at over 30 million people who in the last several months had to file for unemployment.
The glare.
And here's the thing. On January 28th, the vice president and the president were informed about the nature of this pandemic. They were informed that it's lethal in consequence, that it is airborne, that it will affect young people, and that it would be contracted because it is airborne. And they knew what was happening, and they didn't tell you.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine if you knew on January 28th, as opposed to March 13th, what they knew, what you might have done to prepare? They knew, and they covered it up. The president said it was a hoax. They minimized the seriousness of it. The president said, you're on one side of his ledger if you wear a mask, you're on the other side of his ledger if you don't. And in spite of all of that, today they still don't have a plan. They still don't have a plan. Well, Joe Biden does.
She should give
the plan.
And our
plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing, for testing, for administration of the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all. That is the plan that Joe Biden has and that I have, knowing that we have to get a hold of what has been going on and we need to save our country. And Joe Biden is the best leader to do that. And frankly, this administration has forfeited their right to re-election based on this.
Explain
Thank you,
much,
Senator Harris.
But the attack
Vice
is
President
perfect.
Pence,
Pitch
more than
perfect.
210,000 Americans have died of COVID-19 since February. The U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population is higher than that of almost every other wealthy nation on Earth. For instance, our death rate is 2.5 times that of Canada next door. You head the administration's coronavirus task force. Why is the U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population higher than that of almost every other wealthy country?
Beautifully
and you
asked.
have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Susan, thank you. And I want to thank the Commission and the University of Utah for hosting this
Pence
event.
appears to have a fat lip, by the way.
It's a privilege to be on the stage with you. And our nation has gone through a very challenging time this year.
Oh, my God.
But I want the American people to know that from the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
No one believes that.
Before there were more than 5 cases in the United States, all people who had returned from China, President Donald Trump did what no other American president had ever done. And that was he suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. Now, Senator Joe Biden opposed that decision. He said it was xenophobic and hysterical. But I can tell you, having led the White House Coronavirus Task Force, that decision alone by President Trump bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. And I believe it saved hundreds of thousands of American lives. Because with that time, we were able to reinvent testing. More than 115 million tests have been done to date. We were able to see to the delivery of billions of supplies so our doctors and nurses had the resource and support they needed. And we began, really, before the month of February was out, to develop a vaccine and to develop medicines and therapeutics that have been saving lives all along the way.
Trump didn't do any
and under
of that.
President Trump's leadership, Operation Warp Speed, we believe we'll have literally tens of millions of doses of a vaccine before the end of this year. The reality is, when you look at the Biden plan, it reads an awful lot like what President Trump and I and our task force have been doing every step of the way. I mean, quite frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine, it looks a little bit like plagiarism, which is something Joe Biden knows a little bit about.
Oh.
And I think the American people know that this is a president who has put the health of America first, and the American people, I believe with my heart,
cut him off.
Can be proud of the sacrifices they have made. It's saved countless American lives.
You couldn't even protect
Senator
Donald.
Harris, would you like to respond?
Absolutely. Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000 dead bodies in our country, American lives that have been lost, families that are grieving that loss. And you know, the vice president is the head of the task force.
Right.
And knew on January 28th how serious this was. And then thanks to Bob Woodward, we learned that they knew about it. And then when that was exposed, the vice president said, when asked, well, why didn't y'all tell anybody?
Didn't want to panic anybody.
He said, because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
no, but Susan, this is important.
Susan,
I want to add, but if Mr. Vice
Don't
President,
let him
I'm
interrupt
speaking.
here.
I'm
She was about to deliver a kill shot.
Yeah, you
So
can have 15
I
more
wanna-
seconds, and then we'll give the Vice President
Thank
a
you.
chance to
So I
respond.
want to ask the American people, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm
Thank
were
you.
you
Thank
when
you,
your
Senator
children
Harris.
couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Let's give Vice President Pence a chance to respond. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute to respond.
You know, there's not a day gone by that I haven't thought of every American family that's lost a loved one.
Should have thought about him before.
And I want all of you to know that you'll always be in our hearts
Yeah.
and in our prayers. But when you say what the American people have done over these last 8 months hasn't worked, that's a great disservice to the sacrifices the American people have made.
I'm referring
The
to you,
reality,
the
if I may finish, Senator, the reality is Dr.
can't stop
Fauci said
lying.
everything that he told the president in the Oval Office, the president told the American people. Now, President Trump, I will tell you, has boundless confidence in the American people, and he always spoke with confidence that we'd get through this together. But when you say it hasn't worked, when Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and our medical experts came to us in the second week of March, They said if the president didn't take the unprecedented step of shutting down roughly half of the American economy, that we could lose 2.2 million Americans. Now, that's the reality.
Thank you.
They also
Thank you,
said
Vice
to us if
President
we
Pence.
did everything right, Susan, we could still lose more than 200,000 Americans.
Vice President
Now, one
Pence.
life lost is
Thank
too
you.
many, Susan. But the American people, I believe, deserve credit for the sacrifices that they have made, putting the health of their family and their neighbors first, our doctors, our nurses, our first
Thank you,
responders.
Vice President Pence.
And I'm going to speak up on behalf of what the American people have done.
Vice President Pence, you were in the front row in a Rose Garden event 11 days ago at what seems to have been a super spreader event for senior administration and congressional officials. No social distancing, few masks, and now a cluster of coronavirus cases among those who were there.
Oh my God.
How can you expect Americans to follow the administration's safety guidelines to protect themselves from COVID when you at the White House have not been doing so?
Nasty.
Well, the American people have demonstrated over the last 8 months that when given the facts, they're willing to put the health of their families and their neighbors and people they don't even know first. And President Trump and I have great confidence in the American people.
No, it's you we don't have confidence
and their
in.
ability to take that information and put it into practice. In the height of the epidemic, when we were losing a heartbreaking number of 2,500 Americans a day, we surged resources to New Jersey and New York and New Orleans and Detroit. We told the American people what needed to be done, and the American people made the sacrifices.
DC.
When the outbreak in the Sun Belt happened this summer, again, Americans stepped forward. But the reality is the work of the President of the United States goes on. A vacancy on the Supreme Court of the United States has come upon us, and the President introduced Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Thank you, Vice
But
President.
if I may say, that Rose Garden
He wasted
event,
the entire time.
there's been a great deal of speculation about it. My wife Karen and I were there and honored to be there. Many of the people who were at that event, Susan, actually were tested for coronavirus, and it was an outdoor event, which all of our scientists regularly and routinely advise. The difference here is President Trump and I trust the American people to make choices in the best interest of their health.
This is really bad.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris consistently talk about mandates, and not just mandates with the coronavirus, but a government takeover of health care,
Thank
the
you,
Green New Deal,
What?
all government control. We're about freedom and respecting the freedom of the American people.
Let's talk about respecting the American people. You respect the American people when you tell them the truth.
Oh my God.
You respect the American people when you have the courage
Which we've
to be a
always
leader
done.
speaking of those things that you may not want people to hear, but they need to hear so they can protect themselves. But this administration stood on information that if you had as a parent, if you had as a worker knowing you didn't have enough money saved up, and now you're standing in a food line
Oh my God.
because of the ineptitude of an administration that was unwilling to speak the truth to the American people. So let's talk about caring about the American people. The American people have had to sacrifice far too much because of the incompetence of this administration. It is asking too much of the people.
Susan, we talked about
It is
this.
asking too much of the people. That they would not be equipped with the information they need to help themselves to protect
Susan,
their
the
parents
President-
and their
I'm
children.
sorry. Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, I'm sorry.
It's fine, I'm Kamala.
No, you're Senator Harris to me. For life to get back to normal,
Oh my God.
Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it, absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Beautiful.
Vice
Beautiful.
President Pence, there have been a lot of repercussions from this pandemic. In recent days, the president's diagnosis of COVID-19 has underscored the importance of the job that you hold and that you are seeking. That's our second topic tonight. It's the role of the vice president.
COVID, I'm giving to Kamala.
One of you will
Topic
make history on January 20th. You will be the vice president to the oldest president the United States has ever had. Donald Trump will be 74 years old on Inauguration Day. Joe Biden will be 78 years old. That already has raised concerns among some voters, concerns that have been sharpened by President Trump's hospitalization in recent days.
I'll say.
Vice President Pence, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with President Trump about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not,
no.
Do you think you should? You have 2 minutes
Trump's
without
healthy.
interruption.
Well, Susan, thank you, although I would like to go back.
I think we need to move on to the issue
thank you,
of
but I would like to
vice
go back
presidency.
because
Is he going back
the
to
reality
COVID?
is that we're going to have a vaccine,
Oh, my God.
Senator, in record time, in unheard of time, in less than a year.
He's going
We
back.
have 5 companies in phase 3 clinical trials, and we're right now producing tens of millions of doses. So the fact that you continue to undermine public confidence in a vaccine,
Dude,
if the
nobody
vaccine
believes that.
emerges during the Trump administration, I think is unconscionable. And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. The reality is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this
He's
year.
sinking. He's trying to
And it will
crawl
have
out.
the capacity to save countless American lives. And your continuous undermining of confidence in a vaccine is it's just unacceptable. And let me also say, you know, the reality is when you talk about failure in this administration, we actually do know what failure looks like in a pandemic.
Yeah.
It was 2009. The swine flu arrived in the United States.
That was not the failure.
Thankfully,
that
it
this is.
ended up not being as lethal as the coronavirus. But before the end of the year, when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, not 7.5 million people contracted the swine flu. 60 million Americans contracted
How many
the swine
died?
flu. If the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus,
The point is, it wasn't. It was indistinguishable from the flu in practice.
lives. His own chief of staff, Ron Klain, would say last year that it was pure luck that they did, quote, everything possible wrong. And we learned from that.
Oh my God.
They left the strategic national stockpile empty.
That's untrue.
They left an empty and hollow plan, but we
Thank you,
still
Vice
learned
President
from it.
Pence.
And I think
Vice
the
President
American
Pence, your
people,
time is
I'm going
up.
to say
He's
again,
still
can be
talking
Vice
about
proud
President
the
Pence, I'm
last
sorry,
of
your
what
time
we
is
have
up.
done. And Senator, please
Thank you, Vice
stop
President
undermining
Pence.
confidence in a vaccine.
Ridiculous.
Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked
Sure.
Yeah, maybe
Vice
she'll
President
answer it.
Pence, which is, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with Vice President Biden about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, and if you win the election next month, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So let me tell you, first of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life. I thought about my mother, who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25 at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. And the thought that I'd be sitting here right now, I know would make her proud, and she must be looking down on this. Joe and I were raised in a very similar way. We were raised with values that are about hard work, about the value and the dignity of public service.
Yeah, Trump too.
And about the importance of fighting for the dignity of all people. And I think Joe asked me to serve with him because, I have a career that included being elected the first woman district attorney of San Francisco, where I created models of innovation for law enforcement in terms of reform of the criminal justice system. I was elected the first woman of color and black woman to be elected Attorney General of the state of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. And there I took on everything from transnational criminal organizations to the big banks that were taking advantage of homeowners,
She should answer
to
the
for-profit
question, though.
colleges that were taking advantage of veterans. And then, of course, now I serve in the United States Senate as only the second black woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where I've been in regular receipt of classified information about threats to our nation and hotspots around the world. I've traveled the world. I've met with our soldiers in war zones. And I think Joe has asked me to serve with him because he knows that we share a purpose, which is about
She
lifting
should
up
answer
the
the
American
question.
people. And after the 4 years that we have seen of Donald Trump unifying our country around our common values and principles.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Neither President Trump nor Vice President Biden has released a sort of detailed health information that had become the modern norm until the 2016 election. And in recent days, President Trump's doctors have given misleading answers or refused to answer basic questions about his health. And my question to each of you in turn is this information voters deserve to know? Vice President Pence, would you like to go first?
Well, Susan, thank you. And let me say, on behalf of the President and the First Lady, how moved we've all been by the outpouring of prayers and concern
This guy's dead
for the
in the
President.
water. Oh, my God.
And I do believe it's emblematic of the prayers and the concern that have ushered forth for every American impacted by the
Holy
coronavirus.
shit.
But the care the President received at Walter Reed Hospital, the White House doctors, was exceptional.
Not the question.
And the transparency that they practiced all along the way will continue.
Oh,
The
God,
American
that's bad.
people have a right to know about the health and well-being of their president, and will continue to do that. But I'm just extremely grateful and was more than a little moved by the broad and bipartisan support. And Senator, I want to thank you and Joe Biden for your expressions of genuine concern. And I also want to congratulate you, as I did on that phone call, on the historic nature of your nomination.
Thank you.
What was the question?
I never expected to be on this stage 4 years ago, so I know the feeling. But the reality is, we've got
4 years ago, he didn't expect to be here. I guess he assumed something would have happened to him between then and now.
And the stakes have never been higher, but I think the choice has never been clear.
I want to give Senator Harris a chance to respond to the same question I asked, which is, do voters have a right to know more detailed health information about presidential candidates and especially about presidents, especially when they're facing some kind of challenge?
Absolutely, and that's why Joe Biden has been so incredibly transparent, and certainly by contrast, the president has not, both in terms of health records, but also let's look at taxes. We now know, because of great investigative journalism, that Donald Trump paid $750.
You're not going to answer. This is a better way not to answer.
I literally said, you mean $750,000? And it was like, no, $750. We now know Donald Trump owes and is in debt for $400 million. And just so everyone is clear, when we say in debt, it means you owe money to somebody.
Right.
And it'd be really good to know who the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, owes money to, because the American people have a right to know what is influencing the president's decisions. And is he making those decisions on the best interest of the American people, of you, or self-interest? So, Susan, I'm glad you asked about transparency, because it has to be across the board. Joe has been incredibly transparent over many, many years. The one thing we all know about Joe, he puts it all out there. He is honest, he is forthright. But Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been about covering up everything.
Thank you, Senator Harris. I want to give you a chance to respond, Vice President.
Well, look, I respect the fact that Joe Biden spent 47 years in public life. I respect your public service as well.
Thank you.
The American people have a president who's a businessman. He's a job creator.
Failed.
Who's paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes, payroll taxes, property taxes. He's created tens of thousands of American jobs. And the president said those public reports are not accurate. And the president's also released literally stacks of financial disclosures the American people can review just as the law allows. But the distinction here is that Joe Biden, 47 years in public service, compared to President Donald Trump, who brought all of that experience 4 years ago.
Thank you, Vice
and
President.
turned this economy around by cutting taxes, rolling back regulation, unleashing American energy, fighting for free and fair trade, and all of that's on the line if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
You know, that's a good segue into our third topic, which is about the economy.
I think
this has been another
aspect
of life for Americans that's been so affected by this coronavirus. We have a jobs crisis brewing. On Friday, we learned that the unemployment rate had declined to 7.9% in September, but the job growth had stalled, and that was before the latest round of layoffs and furloughs in the airline industry at Disney and elsewhere. Hundreds of thousands of discouraged workers have stopped looking for work. Nearly 11 million jobs that existed at the beginning of the year haven't been replaced. Those hardest hit include Latinos, blacks, and women. Senator Harris, the Biden-Harris campaign has proposed new programs to boost the economy, and you would pay for that new spending by raising $4 trillion in taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations. Some economists warn that could curb entrepreneurial ventures that fuel growth and create jobs. Would raising taxes put the recovery at risk? And you have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
Thank you.
Let's pay attention here.
On the issue of the economy, I think there couldn't be a more fundamental difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden believes you measure the health and the strength of America's economy based on the health and the strength of the American worker and the American family. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who measures the strength of the economy based on how rich people are doing, which is why he passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America, leading to a $2 trillion deficit that the American people are going to have to pay for. On day one, Joe Biden will repeal that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people. And through a plan that is about investing in infrastructure, something that Donald Trump said he would do. I remember hearing about some infrastructure week. I don't think it ever happened.
Infrastructure
But Joe
week
Biden
is
will do
every
that.
week,
He'll
isn't it?
invest in infrastructure. It's about upgrading our roads and bridges, but also investing in clean energy and renewable energy. Joe is going to invest that money in what we need to do around innovation. There was a time when our country believed in science and invested in research and development.
He wasn't part
so
of
that
it.
we were an innovation leader on the globe. Joe Biden will use that money to invest in education. So, for example, for folks who want to go to a 2-year community college, it will be free. If you come from a family that makes less than $125,000, you'll go to a public university for free. And across the board, we'll make sure that if you have student loan debt, it's cut by $10,000. That's how Joe Biden thinks about the economy, which is it's about investing in the people of our country as opposed to passing a tax bill, which had the benefit of letting American corporations go offshore to do their business.
True.
Thank you,
You're
Senator
welcome.
Harris. Vice President Pence, your administration has been predicting a rapid and robust recovery, but the latest economic report suggests that's not happening. Should Americans be braced for an economic comeback that is going to take not months, but a year or more? You have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
More than a year.
When President Trump and I took office,
Oh, God.
America had gone through the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression.
Oh, no.
Because when Joe Biden was vice president, they tried to tax and spend and regulate and bail our way back to a growing economy.
Does anyone believe
President
that?
Trump cut taxes across the board. Despite what Senator Harris says, the average American family of four had $2,000 in savings in taxes. And with the rise in wages that occurred,
What is
most
average
predominantly for blue-collar, hardworking Americans, the average household income for a family of four increased by $4,000 following President Trump's tax cuts. But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes.
Untrue.
It's really remarkable to think, Susan.
I said.
I mean,
Not if you
right
make under
after
400,000.
a time where we're going through a pandemic that lost 22 million jobs at the height. We've already added back 11.6 million jobs because we had a president who cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, fought for free and fair trade, and secured $4 trillion from the Congress of the United States to give direct payments to families, saved 50 million jobs through the Paycheck Protection Program. We literally have spared no expense to help the American people and the American worker through this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to raise taxes. They want to bury our economy under a $2 trillion Green New Deal,
If you make
which you were one of the
400,000 or
original
more.
co-sponsors of in the United States Senate. They want to abolish fossil fuels and ban fracking, which would cost hundreds
That
of
sounds great.
thousands of American jobs all across the heartland. And Joe Biden wants to go back to the economic surrender to China, that when we took office, half of our international trade deficit was with China alone. And Joe Biden wants to repeal all of the tariffs that President Trump put into effect to fight for American jobs and American workers.
Oh, you got to get rid of the
Joe
tariffs.
Biden says democracy's on the ballot. Make no mistake about it, Susan. The American economy, the American comeback is on the ballot with 4 more years of growth and opportunity.
Nobody believes this. It's looking like Mike Pence has not only a fat lip, but a black eye. It's actually even weirder than I thought.
In the history of this country.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Senator Harris.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is, Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Excuse me, Mike.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family
she's a little stumbling now, though.
$2,000 in a tax break every single year.
Senator, that is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Please.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that.
Unfortunately.
Joe Biden is the one who, during the Great Recession, was responsible for the Recovery Act that brought America back. And now the Trump-Pence administration wants to take credit when they rode the coattails of Joe Biden's success for the economy that they had at the beginning of their term. Of course, now the economy is a complete disaster. But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has reigned over a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act, which brought health care to over 20 million Americans and protected people with pre-existing conditions. And what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who's in court right now, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes,
and it's
but
important.
we need to give Vice President.
He interrupted me, and I'd like to just finish, please.
Give her the time.
If you have a pre-existing condition, heart disease, diabetes, breast cancer, they're coming for you. If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition, they're coming for you. If you are under the age of 26 on your parents' coverage, they're coming for you.
Senator Harris, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about health care because Obamacare was a disaster.
That's what we're doing right now.
The American people remember it well. And President Trump and I have a plan to improve health care and to protect pre-existing conditions
Why
for
didn't
every
you already do it?
American. But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president that you would ban fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels.
I wish
they have a
that
$2 trillion version of the Green New Deal, Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different from the original Green New Deal. More taxes, more regulation, banning fracking, abolishing fossil fuel, crushing American energy, and economic surrender to China is a prescription for economic decline. President Trump and I will keep America growing. The V-shaped recovery that's underway right now will continue with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House.
Thank you very, very much, Vice President Pence. Once again, you've provided the perfect segue to a new topic, which is climate change. And Vice President Pence, I'd like to pose the first question to you. This year, we've seen record-setting hurricanes in the South. Another one, Hurricane Delta, is now threatening the Gulf. And we have seen record-setting wildfires in the West. Do you believe, as the scientific community has concluded, that man-made climate change has made wildfires bigger, hotter, and more deadly, and have made hurricanes wetter, slower, and more damaging? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. Well, first, I'm very proud of our record on the environment and on conservation.
Not the question, dude.
According to all of the best estimates, our air and land are cleaner than any time ever recorded.
Cleanest
dirt
ever.
Our water is among the cleanest in the world. And just a little while ago, the President signed the Outdoors Act. It's the largest investment in our public lands and public parks.
Might as well mute it.
In 100 years. So President Trump has made a commitment to conservation and to the environment. Now, with regard to climate change, the climate is changing. But the issue is, what's the cause and what do we do about it?
Yeah.
President Trump has made it clear that we're going to continue to listen to the science. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New Deal, which would crush American energy, would increase the energy
Biden's
costs
not
of
for the
American
Green New Deal.
families in their
He
homes.
took some elements
and
from
literally would crush American jobs. And President Trump and I believe that the progress that we have made in a cleaner environment has been happening precisely because we have a strong free market economy.
No.
You know, what's remarkable is the United States has reduced CO2 more than the countries that are still in the Paris Climate Accord, but we've done it through innovation.
And through coronavirus.
And we've done it through natural gas and fracking, which, Senator, the American people can go look at the record. I know Joe Biden says otherwise now, as you do, but the both of you repeatedly committed to abolishing fossil fuel and banning fracking. And so by creating the kind of American innovation, we're actually steering toward a stronger and better environment. With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and
Rake
center.
the
And
forest,
even
folks.
Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
there are no more hurricanes today than
Thank
there
you.
were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists
President Pence, I'm
use
sorry, your time
hurricanes
is up.
and wildfires to try and
Thank
sell
you,
their
Vice
bill of
President.
goods of
Wildfires.
a Green New Deal. And President Trump and I are going to always put
Thank you,
American
Vice
jobs and
President
American
Pence.
workers first.
Just mute him.
Senator Harris, as the Vice President mentioned, you co-sponsored the Green New Deal in Congress. But Vice President Biden said in last week's debate that he does not support the Green New Deal. But if you look at the Biden-Harris campaign website, it describes the Green New Deal as a crucial framework. What exactly would be the stance of a Biden-Harris administration toward the Green New Deal? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. So first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact.
I wish you would.
That is a fact. I will repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Joe Biden's economic plan, Moody's, which is a reputable Wall Street firm, has said will create 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump's. And part of those jobs that will be created by Joe Biden are going to be about clean energy and renewable energy. Because you see, Joe understands that the west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa, whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. And so Joe believes, again, in science. I'll tell you something, Susan. I served, when I first got to the Senate, on the committee that's responsible for the environment. Do you know this administration took the word science off the website and then took the phrase climate change off the website? We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science.
How can
And
Pence say
Joe's
that didn't
plan
happen? That
is
happened.
about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs. Donald Trump, when asked about the wildfires in California, and the question was, you know, the science is telling us this, you know what Donald Trump said? Science doesn't know. So let's talk about who is prepared to lead our country over the course of the next 4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human
not this
beings.
guy on the right of
Joe
the
is
screen.
about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs. We will achieve net zero emissions by 2050, carbon neutral by 2035. Joe has a plan. This has been a lot of talk from the Trump administration, and really it has been to go backward instead of forward. We will also re-enter the climate agreement with pride.
Senator Harris just said that climate change is an existential threat. Vice President Pence, do you believe that climate change poses an existential threat?
As I said, Susan, the climate is changing. We'll follow the science. But once again, Senator Harris
Mumble.
is denying the fact that they're going to raise taxes on every American. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that on day one he was going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. Those tax cuts delivered $2,000 in tax relief to the average family of 4 across America. And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly that you would ban fracking. You were the first Senate co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. And while Joe Biden denied the Green New Deal, Susan, thank you for pointing out, the Green New Deal is on their campaign website. And as USA Today said, it's essentially the same plan as you co-sponsored with AOC when she submitted it in the Senate. And you just heard the senator say that she's going to resubmit America to the Paris Climate Accord. Look, the American people have always cherished our environment. We'll continue to cherish it. We've made great progress reducing CO2 emissions through American innovation and the development of natural gas through fracking. We don't need a massive $2 trillion Green New Deal that would impose all new mandates on American businesses and American families.
Thank you.
Joe Biden wants us to retrofit 4 million American business buildings. It makes no sense. It will cost jobs. President Trump is going to put America first. He's going to put jobs first, and we're going to take care of our environment and follow the science.
Thank you, Vice President. On the issue of jobs,
Senator Harris,
let's talk about that. The Vice President earlier referred to, as part of what he thinks is an accomplishment, the President's trade war with China.
Yeah, he said it was great.
You lost that trade war. You lost it. What ended up happening is because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. Farmers have experienced bankruptcy because of it. We are in a manufacturing recession because of it. And when we look at where this administration has been, there are estimates that by the end of the term of this administration, they will have lost more jobs than almost any other presidential administration. Susan. And the American people know what I'm talking about.
Susan.
You know. I think about 20-year-olds. You know, we have a 20-year-old, a 20-something-year-old who are coming out of high school and college right now, and you're wondering, is there going to be a job there for me? We're looking at people who are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent by the end of the month. Almost half of American renters are worried about whether they're going to be able to pay rent by the end of the month. This is where the economy is in America right now, and it is because of the catastrophe and the failure of leadership of this administration.
Thank you, Senator Harris.
Is Pence wearing a prosthetic?
Vice President Pence, let me give you just 15 seconds to respond, because then I want to move on to
I'd love to respond. Look, lost the trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for communist China over the last several decades.
Jump in the shark.
And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs, and President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back. In our first 3 years after we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, this administration saw 500,000 manufacturing jobs created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through this pandemic. But a Green New Deal, your massive new mandates, your Paris Climate Accord, it's going to kill jobs this time, just like it killed jobs.
I just need to respond very briefly.
15 seconds, and then we'll move on.
Thank you. Joe Biden is responsible for saving America's auto industry, and you voted against it. So let's set the record straight. Thank you.
I'd like to talk about China. We have, as our next topic, we have no more complicated or consequential foreign relationship than the one with China.
Right.
It is a huge market for American agricultural goods. It's a potential partner in dealing with climate change in North Korea. And in a video tonight, President Trump again blamed it for the coronavirus, saying China will pay. Vice President Pence, how would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Competitors, adversaries, enemies? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan.
It'll be about Joe Biden.
Well, before I leave that, let me speak to voting records if I can. You know,
please, no.
Everybody knows that NAFTA cost literally thousands of American factories to close. We saw automotive jobs go south of the border. President Trump fought to renegotiate NAFTA. And the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement is now the law of the land.
Please.
American people deserve to know Senator Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. It was a huge win for American auto workers. It was a huge win for American farmers, especially dairy in the upper Midwest. But Senator, you said it didn't go far enough on climate change, that you put your radical environmental agenda ahead of American auto workers and ahead of American jobs. The American people deserve to know that. It's probably why Newsweek magazine said that Kamala Harris was the most liberal member of the United States Senate in 2019.
I wish that were true.
More liberal than Bernie Sanders, more liberal than any of the others in the United States Senate. So now, with regard to China, look, Susan, first and foremost, China is to blame for the coronavirus.
Oh my God, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And President Trump is not happy about it. He's made that very clear, made it clear again today. China and the World Health Organization did not play straight with the American people. They did not let our personnel into China to get information on the coronavirus until the middle of February. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset of this administration, standing up to China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China, President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China. And again, the American people deserve to know Joe Biden opposed President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China. He said it was hysterical. He said it was xenophobic.
Vice President Pence.
But President Trump has stood up to China. We're going to continue to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
We want to improve the relationship, but we're going to level the playing field, and we're going to hold China accountable for what they did to America with the coronavirus.
Thank you. Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked the Vice President. How would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Are we competitors, adversaries, enemies? You'll have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Susan, the Trump administration's perspective and approach to China has resulted in the loss of American lives, American jobs, and America's standing. There's a weird obsession that President Trump has had with getting rid of whatever accomplishment was achieved by President Obama and Vice President Biden. For example, they created within the White House an office that basically was responsible for monitoring pandemics. They got away, they got rid of it.
Not true.
There was a team of disease experts that President Obama and Vice President Biden dispatched to China to monitor what is now predictable and what might happen. They pulled them out. We now are looking at 210,000 Americans who have lost their lives. Let's look at the job situation. We mentioned before the trade deal, the trade war, they wanted to call it, with China. It resulted in the loss of over 300 manufacturing jobs and a manufacturing recession, and the American consumer paying thousands of dollars more for goods because of that failed war that they called it. Then let's talk about standing. Pew, a reputable research firm, has done an analysis that shows that leaders of all of our formerly allied countries have now decided that they hold in greater esteem and respect Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, than they do Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is where we are today because of a failure of leadership by this administration.
Senator Harris, we've seen changes in the role of the United States in terms of global leadership over the past 4 years. And of course, times do change. What's your definition? We've seen strains with China, of course, as the Vice President mentioned. We've seen strains with our traditional allies in NATO and elsewhere. What is your definition of the role of American leadership in 2020?
So, you know, Joe is, I love talking with Joe about a lot of these issues. And, you know, Joe, I think he said it quite well. He says, you know, foreign policy, it might sound complicated, but really it's relationships. So just think about it as relationships. And so we know this in our personal and professional relationships. You got to keep your word to your friends. You got to be loyal to your friends. People who've stood with you, got to stand with them. You got to know who your adversaries are and keep them in check. But what we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends and embraced dictators around the world.
Correct.
Let's take, for example, Russia. So, Russia, I serve on the Intelligence Committee of the United States Senate. America's intelligence community told us Russia interfered in the election of the President of the United States in 2016 and is playing in 2020. Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the same. But Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, prefers to take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of the American intelligence community. You look at our friends at NATO. He has walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position where we are less safe because they are building up what might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal. We were in that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country. And because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe. So, Susan, it's about relationships. And the thing that has always been part of the strength of our nation, in addition to our great military, has been that we keep our word. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand what it means to be honest.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, thank you. Well, President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem,
Which was stupid and
capital of the
unnecessary.
state of Israel.
Idiotic move.
When Joe Biden was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We've stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership. We've strengthened our alliances across the Asia-Pacific, and we've stood strong against those who would do us harm. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had captured an area of the Middle East the size of Pennsylvania. But President Trump unleashed the American military, and our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader, al-Baghdadi, without one American casualty. Al-Baghdadi was responsible for the death of thousands. But notably, America's hearts today are with the family of Kayla Mueller, her parents of which are here with us tonight in Salt Lake City. Today, two of the ISIS killers responsible for Kayla Mueller's murder were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other beetle. The reality is that when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to save Kayla Mueller. It breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval Office, presented a plan. They said they knew where Kayla was. Baghdadi had held her for 18 months, abused her mercilessly before they killed her. But when Joe Biden was vice president, they hesitated for a month. And when armed forces finally went in, it was clear she'd been moved 2 days earlier. And her family says with a heart that broke the heart of every American that if President Donald Trump had been president, they believe Kayla would be alive today.
Thank you, Vice
Look,
President.
we destroyed the ISIS caliphate. And
no
you
real
talk about
answer here.
re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, the last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the leading state sponsor
Thank you, Vice
of
President.
terrorism.
Why is he still
President
talking?
Donald Trump got us out of the deal.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And when Qasem Soleimani was traveling to Baghdad
Thank you,
to do
Vice President
harm
Pence.
to Americans, President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out.
President Pence.
And America is safer.
my
Our
God.
allies are safer. And the American people know
He's
President
over by
Donald
what, a
Trump will
minute and a half?
never
Thank you, Vice President
take
Pence.
action.
I would like to give Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But I would like equal time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
First of all, to the Mueller family, I know about your daughter's case, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened to her is awful, and it should have never happened. And I know Joe feels the same way. And I know that President Obama feels the same way. But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there. So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And They suffered serious brain injuries, and do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as?
Headaches.
Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them?
Right.
Because, of course, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, a great American hero. And Donald Trump says he doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he was a prisoner of war. And this is very important when you want to talk about who is the current commander-in-chief and what they care about and what they don't care about. Public reporting that Russia had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is? It's somebody puts a price on your head and they will pay it if you are killed. And Donald Trump had talked at least 6 times to Vladimir Putin and never brought up the subject. Joe Biden would never do that.
Thank you.
Joe Biden would, but Joe Biden would hold Russia to account for any threat to our nation's security or to our troops who are sacrificing their lives for the sake of our democracy and our safety.
Thank you, Senator Harris. This is such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And
Susan,
I want to make sure we have a chance
I really have
to talk
to respond to that.
You already went over 90 seconds.
She has
15 seconds because
Well, I gotta
we're
have
trying
more
to
than
keep.
that. Look,
well,
No.
I'm sorry, but Vice President
Look,
Pence, you've had more time than she's had so far.
Slanders against President Donald Trump
Slander.
regarding men and women of our armed forces are
Susan?
absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice
My
President
son is
Pence.
a captain in the United
Yes.
States Marine Corps.
Oh, my
son-in-law
God.
is deployed in the United States Navy.
He's just
I
determined.
can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our
Trump
armed
has
forces.
sons
and
and
any
daughters in the
suggestion
military?
otherwise
What?
is ridiculous.
Thank
Let me
you,
also
Vice
say,
President Pence.
the
Vice
the American
President
people
Pence,
deserve,
Vice
Susan, the
President
American
Pence,
people
I
deserve to
didn't,
know.
Vice President
that-
Pence, I did not, excuse me,
Susan, the
I did
American
not
people
create
deserve
the
to know
rules for tonight.
Joe Biden
Your
and
campaigns agreed to the rules for tonight's debate with the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm here to enforce them, which involves
And only
moving
doing
from
a
one
mediocre
topic to
job.
another, giving roughly equal time to both of you,
Go right
which
ahead.
is what I'm trying very hard to do.
Go right ahead.
So I want to go ahead and move to the next topic, which is an important one, as the last topic was, and that is the Supreme Court.
Uh-oh.
On Monday, the Senate Judiciary Committee is scheduled to open hearings on Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. Senator Harris, you'll be there as a member of the committee.
Yes.
Her confirmation would cement the court's conservative majority and make it likely open to more abortion restrictions, even to overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. Access to abortion would then be up to the states. Vice President Pence, you're the former governor of Indiana. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want Indiana to do?
He's
Would
not
you
gonna
want
say.
your home state to ban all abortions? You have 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Well, thank you for the question, but I'll use a little bit of my time to respond to that very important issue before. The American people deserve to know Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, was
Qasem.
responsible for the death of hundreds of American service members. When the opportunity came, we saw him headed to Baghdad to kill more Americans. President Trump didn't hesitate, and Qasem Soleimani is gone. But you deserve to know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually criticized the decision to take out Qasem Soleimani. It's really inexplicable, but with regard to Joe Biden, it's explainable. Because history records that Joe Biden actually opposed the raid against Osama bin Laden. It's absolutely essential that we have a commander-in-chief who will not hesitate to act to protect American lives and to protect American service members, and that's what you have in President Donald Trump. Now, with regard to the Supreme Court of the United States,
Right.
let me say President Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic
Question was about abortion in Indiana.
about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She's a brilliant woman, and she will bring a lifetime of experience and a sizable American family to the Supreme Court of the United States. And our hope is, in the hearing next week, unlike Justice Kavanaugh received with treatment from you and others,
I'd like to see Pence answer questions from the Biden-Trump debate from last week, actually.
Attacks on her Christian faith that we saw before. I mean, the Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee before, when Judge Barrett was being confirmed for the Court of Appeals, expressed concern that the dogma of her faith lived loudly in her. Dick Durbin of Illinois said that it was a concern. Senator, I know one of our judicial nominees, you actually attacked because they were a member of the Catholic Knights of Columbus, just because the Knights of Columbus holds pro-life views and
Thank you.
views.
Thank you, Vice President.
So
Your
my
time
hope is that when the hearing takes place, that
Thank you, Vice President.
He
Pence.
can't
Judge
put
Amy
together
Coney
a
Barrett will
coherent
be
answer.
respected,
Thank you,
treated
Vice President
respectfully,
Pence.
voted and confirmed
Thank
to the
you.
Supreme Court of the United States.
Senator Harris, you're the senator from and former Attorney General of California. So let me ask you a parallel question to the one I posed to the Vice President. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want California to do? Would you want your home state to enact no restrictions on access to abortion? And you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. First of all, Joe Biden and I are both people of faith, and it's insulting to suggest that we would knock anyone for their faith. And in fact, Joe, if elected, will be only the second practicing Catholic as president of the United States.
The religious candidate is
on
Biden.
the issue
That's
of
the
this nomination. Joe and I are very clear, as are the majority of the American people. We are 27 days before the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And, you know, before, when this conversation has come up, you know, it's been about election year or election time. We're literally in an election. Over 4 million people have voted. People are in the process of voting right now. And so Joe has been very clear, as the American people are. Let the American people fill that seat in the White House, and then we'll fill that seat on the United States Supreme Court. And to your point, Susan, the issues before us couldn't be more serious. There's the issue of choice, and I will always fight for a woman's right to make a decision about her own body. It should be her decision and not that of Donald Trump and the Vice President, Michael Pence. But let's also look at what else is before the court. It's the Affordable Care Act. Like, literally in the midst of a public health pandemic, when over 210,000 people have died and 7 million people probably have what will be in the future considered a pre-existing condition because you contracted the virus. Donald Trump is in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And I said it before, and it bears repeating. This means that there will be no more protections if they win for people with pre-existing conditions. Yeah. This means that over 20 million people will lose your coverage. It means that if you're under the age of 26, you can't stay on your parents' coverage anymore. And here's the thing. The contrast couldn't be more clear. They're trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Joe Biden is saying, let's expand coverage. Let's give you a choice of a public option or private coverage. Let's bring down premiums.
Thank you, Senator
Let's
Harris.
lower Medicare eligibility to 60.
Thank you, Senator
That's true
Harris.
leadership.
You know, you mentioned earlier, Vice President Pence, that the president was committed to maintaining protections for people with pre-existing conditions. But you do have this court case that you are supporting, your administration supporting, that would strike down the Affordable Care Act. The president says, President Trump says that he's going to protect people.
Conjunctivitis is sometimes coinciding with COVID. I just am letting people know that.
One of the toughest nuts to crack when they were passing the Affordable Care Act. So tell us specifically, how would your administration protect Americans with pre-existing conditions to have access to affordable insurance if the Affordable Care Act is struck down?
Well, thank you, Susan. But let me just say, addressing your very first question.
Let's go back to the first question from an hour and 10 minutes ago.
A president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it.
You should.
And this is another one of those cases where there's such a dramatic contrast. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Late-term abortion. They want to increase funding to Planned Parenthood of America. Now, for our part, I would never presume how Judge Amy Coney Barrett would rule on the Supreme Court of the United States, but we'll continue to stand strong for the right to life. When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed? I mean, there have been 29 vacancies on the Supreme Court during presidential election years, from George Washington to Barack Obama. Presidents have nominated in all 29 cases. But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the Supreme Court,
what is wrong
which has
with
had
this guy?
9 seats for 150 years, if you don't get your way. This is a classic case of if you can't win by the rules, you're going to change the rules. Now, you've refused to answer the question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more.
Please.
In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice
well, but
President,
you're not
I'm
answering
speaking.
anyone else.
I'm speaking. Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
In 1864,
Bobblehead
one
Mike.
of the, I think, political heroes, certainly of the president, I assume of you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election.
Oh, my God.
And it was 27 days before the election. And a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate.
Different party at the time.
But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body for a lifetime.
Thank you,
And
Senator
the
Harris.
people, Susan, are voting right now. They'd like to know if you and Joe Biden are going to pack the Supreme
She has
Court
no reason to
if you
answer
don't
that
get your
right
way
now.
in this nomination.
Let's talk about packing.
You once
Come
again
on.
gave a non-answer. Joe Biden gave a non-answer.
Trying to answer you
the
now.
American people deserve a straight answer. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the straight answer is they are going to pack the Supreme Court.
Maybe they will.
If they
And what will
somehow
you do
win this
about it,
election.
Mike?
Men and
Mr.
women,
Vice President,
I got to
I
tell you,
think
people across this country, if you cherish our Supreme Court,
Men and
if you
women.
cherish the separation of powers, you need to reject the Biden-Harris ticket. Come November the 3rd, re-elect President Donald Trump, and we'll stand by that separation of powers in a 9-seat Supreme Court.
Yeah, let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the
Please.
fact. Yeah, I'm about to. So the Trump-Pence administration has been, because I sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Susan, as you mentioned, and I've witnessed the appointments for lifetime appointments to the federal courts, district courts, courts of appeal. People who are purely ideological, people who have been reviewed by legal professional organizations and found to have been not competent, are substandard. And do you know that of the 50 people who President Trump appointed to the Court of Appeals for lifetime appointments, not one is black? This is what they've been doing. You want to talk about packing a court? Let's have that discussion.
All right, thank you, Senator. Let's go on and talk about the issue of racial justice.
I just want
Pence
the
is gonna
record to
wanna go
reflect she
back,
never
yeah.
answered the question. So I think the American people,
Thank
maybe
you.
in the next debate, Joe Biden will answer the question.
Thank you.
But I think
Thank
the
you.
American people know the answer.
Thank you, Vice President. In March, Breonna,
The answer is probably no if you know Joe Biden's history on packing the court, just to let you know.
after police officers executing a search warrant in a narcotics investigation, broke into her apartment. The police said they identified themselves. Taylor's boyfriend said he didn't hear them do that. He used a gun registered to him to fire a shot, which wounded an officer. The officers then fired more than 20 rounds into the apartment. They say they were acting in self-defense. None of them have been indicted in connection with her death. Senator Harris, in the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes.
I don't believe so. And I've talked with Breonna's mother, Tamika Palmer, and her family deserves justice. She was a beautiful young woman. She had as her life goal to become a nurse, and she wanted to become an EMT to first learn what's going on out on the street so she could then become a nurse and save lives. And her life was taken unjustifiably and tragically and violently. And it brings me to, the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that America witnessed, during which an American man was tortured and killed under the knee of an armed, uniformed police officer. And people around our country of every race, of every age, of every gender, perfect strangers to each other, marched shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, fighting for us to finally achieve that ideal of equal justice under law. And I was a part of those peaceful protests. And I believe strongly
Pence's eye roll.
that, first of all, we are never going to condone violence, but we always must fight for the values that we hold dear, including the fight to achieve our ideals. And that's why Joe Biden and I have said on this subject, look, and I'm a former career prosecutor. I know what I'm talking about. Bad cops are bad for good cops. We need reform of our policing in America and our criminal justice system, which is why Joe and I will immediately ban chokeholds and carotid holds. George Floyd would be alive today if we did that. We will require a national registry for police officers who break the law. We will, on the issue of criminal justice reform, get rid of private prisons and cash bail, and we will decriminalize marijuana, and we will expunge the records of those who have been convicted of marijuana. This is a time for leadership on a tragic, tragic issue of unarmed black people in America who have been killed.
Senator Harris.
Thank you.
Vice President Pence, let me pose the same question to you. In the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent American life.
Not the question.
And the family of Breonna Taylor has our sympathies.
Not the question.
But I trust our justice system, a grand jury that refused the evidence. And it really is remarkable that as a former prosecutor, you would assume that an impaneled grand jury looking at all the evidence got it wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion, Senator. I think, look, and with regard to George Floyd, there's no excuse for what happened to George Floyd. And justice will be served.
Will it?
But there's also no excuse for the rioting and looting that followed. I mean, it really is astonishing. Flora Westbrook is with us here tonight in Salt Lake City. Just a few weeks ago, I stood at what used to be her salon. Was burned to the ground by rioters and looters. And Flora is still trying to put her life back together. And I must tell you, this presumption that you hear consistently from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that America is systemically racist, and that, as Joe Biden said, that he believes that law enforcement has an implicit bias against minorities, is a great insult to the men and women who serve in law enforcement. And I want everyone to know who puts on the uniform of law enforcement every day that President Trump and I stand with you. And it is remarkable that,
oh my God,
that when Senator Tim Scott tried to pass a police reform bill,
you guys see that?
Brought together a group of Republicans and Democrats, Senator Harris,
is that a bee?
You got up and walked out of the room. And then you filibustered Senator Tim Scott's bill on the Senate floor that would have provided new accountability, new resources. Look, we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement, improving public safety, and supporting our African-American neighbors and all of our minorities. Under President Trump's leadership, we'll always stand with law enforcement, and we'll do what we've done from day one, and that is improve the lives of African-Americans.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
Record unemployment, record investments in education, and we'll fight for school choice for all of our minorities.
Thank you, Vice President.
I'd like to respond.
Senator Harris.
I will not sit here and be lectured by the Vice President on what it means to enforce the laws of our country. I am the only one on this stage who has personally prosecuted everything from child sexual assault to homicide. I'm the only one on this stage who has prosecuted the big banks for taking advantage of America's homeowners. I'm the only one on this stage who prosecuted for-profit colleges for taking advantage of our veterans. And the reality of this is that we are talking about an election in 27 days, where last week the President of the United States took a debate stage in front of 70 million Americans and refused to condemn white supremacists.
It's still there.
And
Not true.
it wasn't like he didn't have a chance. He didn't do it, and then he doubled down. And then he said, when pressed, stand back, stand by. And this is a part of a pattern of Donald Trump's. He called Mexicans rapists and criminals. He instituted as his first act a Muslim ban. On the issue of Charlottesville, where people were peacefully protesting the need for racial justice, where a young woman was killed. And on the other side, there were neo-Nazis carrying tiki torches, shouting racial epithets, anti-Semitic slurs. And Donald Trump, when asked about it, said there were fine people on both sides. This is who we have as the President of the United States. And America, you deserve better. Joe Biden will be a president who brings our country together.
Senator Harris.
And recognizes the beauty in our diversity and the fact that we
Senator
all
Harris,
have so much more in common than what separates us.
Vice President Pence, let me give you a minute to respond.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that very much.
Susan.
You know, I think this is one of the things that makes people dislike the media so much in this country, Susan, is that you selectively edit, just like Senator Harris did, comments that President Trump and I and others on our side of the aisle make. I mean, Senator Harris conveniently omitted, after the president made comments about people on either side of the debate over monuments, he condemned the KKK, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists, and has done so repeatedly. You're concerned that he doesn't condemn neo-Nazis. President Trump has Jewish grandchildren.
Oh, no.
His daughter and son-in-law are Jewish.
Oh, my God.
This is a president who respects and cherishes all of the American people. But you talk about having personally prosecuted. I'm glad you brought up your record, Senator.
Thank you.
I really need to make this point.
No.
When you were DA in San Francisco, when you left office, African Americans were 19 times more likely to be prosecuted for minor drug offenses than whites and Hispanics. When you were Attorney General of California, you increased the disproportionate incarceration of blacks in California. You did nothing on criminal justice reform in California. You didn't lift a finger to pass the first step back on Capitol Hill. I mean, the reality is your record speaks for itself. President Trump and I have fought for criminal justice reform.
Thank you, Vice President
Pence. We fought for
Pence.
educational choice and opportunities for African Americans, all of our
Thank you, sir.
And we'll do it for 4 more
Thank you.
years.
You know, there is no more important issue than the final issue that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is the issue of the election itself.
Susan, he attacked my record. I would like an opportunity to respond.
Let me give you 30 seconds because we're running out of time.
I appreciate that. First of all, having served as the Attorney General of the state of California, the work that I did is a model of what our nation needs to do, and we will be able to do under a Joe Biden presidency. Our agenda includes what this administration has failed to do. It will be about not only instituting a ban on chokeholds and carotid holes.
Thank you.
Not only.
Thank you, Senator.
I would like to go through.
These are points that you made earlier in the hour, and I want to talk about the election itself before we have to.
But I want to talk about the connection between what Joe and I will do and my record, which includes I was the first statewide officer to institute a requirement that my agents would wear body cameras and keep them on full time. We were the first to initiate a requirement that there would be a training for law enforcement on implicit bias because, yes, Joe Biden and I recognize that implicit bias does exist, Mr. Vice President, contrary to what you may believe. We did the work of instituting reforms that were about investing in reentry. This is the work that we have done and the work we will do going forward. And again, I will not be lectured by the Vice President on our record of what we have done in terms of law enforcement and keeping our communities safe and a commitment to reforming the criminal justice system of America.
Thank you, Senator Harris. And I'd like to pose I'd like you to respond first to the question on our final topic, the election itself. President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If your ticket wins and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful
Another
transfer
sneeze.
of power, what steps would you and Vice President Biden then take? What would happen next? You have 2 minutes.
So I'll tell you, Joe and I are, I think, particularly proud of the coalition that we've built around our campaign. We probably have one of the broadest coalitions of folks that
Fourth
you've
sneeze,
ever
or is
seen
that
in
a
a
dog?
presidential race. Of course, we have the support of Democrats, but also independents and Republicans. In fact, 7 members of President George W. Bush's cabinet.
Are they both suppressing a laugh because of the constant sneezing?
Of Colin Powell, Cindy McCain, John Kasich, over 500 generals, retired generals, and former national security experts and advisors are supporting our campaign. And I believe they are doing that because they know that Joe Biden has a deep-seated commitment to fight for our democracy and to fight for the integrity of our democracy and to bring integrity back to the White House. And so we believe in the American people. We believe in our democracy. And here's what I'd like to say to everybody. Vote. Please vote. Vote early. Come up with a plan to vote. Go to iwillvote.com. You can also go to joebiden.com. We have it within our power in these next 27 days to make the decision about what will be the course of our country for the next 4 years. And it is within our power, and if we use our vote and we use our voice, we will win. And we will not let anyone subvert our democracy with what Donald Trump has been doing, as he did on the debate stage last week, when again in front of 70 million people, he openly attempted to suppress the vote. Joe Biden, on the other hand, on that same debate stage, because clearly Donald Trump doesn't think he can run on a record because it's a failed record, Joe Biden on that stage said, hey, just please vote. So I'll repeat what Joe said. Please vote.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Pence, President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If Vice President Biden is declared the winner and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what would be your role and responsibility as vice president? What would you personally do?
Yeah, I would support it.
Well, Susan, first and foremost, I think we're going to win this election. Because while Joe Biden and Kamala Harris rattle off a long litany of the establishment in Washington, D.C., an establishment that Joe Biden's been a part of for 47 years, President Donald Trump has launched a movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. And I have every confidence that those same Americans that delivered that historic victory in 2016, they see this president's record where we rebuild our military.
Oh, my God.
We revived our economy through tax cuts and rolling back regulation, fighting for fair trade, unleashing American energy. We appointed conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And we stood with the men and women of law enforcement every single day. And I think that movement of Americans has only grown stronger in the last 4 years. But when you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election.
Oh, nobody's going to fall
It's
for that.
amazing.
That's going to be flat.
When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, the FBI actually spied on President Trump and my campaign.
Oh, my God, not that.
I mean, there were documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Not going to resonate.
Of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you put the country through for the better part of 3 years until it was found that there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then, Senator Harris, you and your colleagues in the Congress tried to impeach the President of the United States over a phone call. And now Hillary Clinton has actually said to Joe Biden that in her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election. So let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris from changing the rules and creating this universal mail-in voting that'll create a massive opportunity for voter fraud.
Where's that coming from?
And we have a free and fair election. We know we're going to have confidence in it. And I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump's going to be rereelected for 4 more years.
Does he have
I've written all the questions that I've asked tonight, but for the final question of the debate, I'd like to read a question that someone else wrote. The Utah Debate Commission asked students in the state to write essays about what they would like to ask you. And I want to close tonight's debate with the question posed by Brecklin Brown. She's an 8th grader at Springville Junior High in Springville, Utah. And here's what she wrote, quote,
Okay.
"When I watch the news, all I see is arguing between Democrats and Republicans. When I watch the news, all I see is citizen fighting against citizen. When I watch the news, all I see are two candidates from opposing parties trying to tear each other down. If our leaders can't get along, how are the citizens supposed to get along?" And then she added, "Your examples could make all the difference to bring us together," end quote. So to each of you in turn, I'd like you to take 1 minute and respond to Brecklin. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute.
Brecklin, it's a wonderful question. And let me just commend you for taking an interest in public life. I started following the news when I was very young.
Yeah.
And in America, we believe in a free and open exchange of debate. And we celebrate that. And it's how we've created literally the freest and most prosperous nation in the history of the world. But I would tell you that don't assume that what you're seeing on your local news networks is synonymous with the American people.
What?
You know, I look at the relationship between Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late justice who we just lost from the Supreme Court, and the late Justice Antonin Scalia. They were on polar opposites on the Supreme Court of the United States, one very liberal, one very conservative. But what's been learned since her passing was the two of them and their families were the very closest of friends. I mean, here in America, we can disagree. We can debate vigorously, as Senator Harris and I have on this stage tonight.
You weren't so vigorous,
But
buddy.
when the debate is over, we come together as Americans. And that's what people do in big cities and small towns all across this country. So I just want to encourage you, Brecklin. I want to tell you that we're going to work every day to have government as good as our people. And the American people, each and every day, love a good debate. We love a good argument. But we always come together and are always there for one another
Thank you.
in times of need. And we've especially learned that
Thank you,
through
Mr.
the
Vice President.
difficulties of this year.
Senator Harris, what would you say to Brecklin?
First of all, I love hearing from our young leaders. And when I hear her words, when I hear your words, Brecklin, I know our future is bright because it is that perspective on who we are and who we should be that is a sign of leadership and is something we should all aspire to be. And that, you know, that brings me to Joe. Joe Biden, one of the reasons that Joe decided to run for president is after Charlottesville, which we talked about earlier. It so troubled him and upset him like it did all of us, that there was that kind of hate and division. What propelled Joe to run for president was to see that over the course of the last 4 years, what Brecklin described has been happening. Joe has a long-standing reputation of working across the aisle and working in a bipartisan way. And that's what he's going to do as president. Joe Biden has a history of lifting people up and fighting for their dignity. You mean you have to know Joe's story to know that Joe has known pain, he has known suffering, and he has known love. And so, Brecklin, when you think about the future, I do believe the future is bright. And it will be because of your leadership, and it will be because we fight for each person's voice through their vote.
Not a great
And we
answer.
get engaged in this election because you have the ability through your work and through eventually your vote
Thank you,
to
Senator
determine
Harris.
the future of our country and what its leadership looks like.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Thank you, Vice President Pence. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We want to thank also the University of Utah for its hospitality.
Right.
And most of all, our thanks to all the Americans who watched this debate tonight. Again, our best wishes for a quick recovery to President Trump, the First Lady, and everyone who is battling COVID-19. The second presidential debate is next week on October 15th, a town hall style debate in Miami.
Oh my God,
We hope
town
you'll
hall.
join us then. Good evening.
Wow. Wow.
And that concludes this.
Okay, I mean, It was a debate. I do think. I mean, listen, Kamala Harris was better. I think she was only okay on some of the questions. I think on that second question, she came out strong on COVID for sure. But then on age and health, I don't think she did particularly better than Pence, thinking about it through the average person's eyes. On economy, it was okay. I think on China, Kamala did well. On Supreme Court, it was okay. I mean, I give it to Kamala, but it was not overwhelming in the way one would hope. Although certainly much better than the first debate, although just constant Mike Pence going over and over and over and over. Listen, if you're heading out, please do me the favor of hitting the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, you'll be notified of our next debate stream. It's free. It's really just kind of like a tip. I consider it a tip. If you enjoyed the coverage, please do hit that subscribe button as you head out. If you're heading out on Twitch, make sure to follow. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to like. People want phones open. I'd consider opening the phones. I guess we're so close to our goal of 100 website members or patrons. I guess if we get to 100, I would open the phone lines via, the Discord lines for a little bit. I would do that. We're very, very close, and it looks like there's one person in the sign up process. So I'll do some phones if we get to 100 new members at joinpacman.com. We're only 3 away. Overall, I do think that the quality of the conversation was obviously better than in the Trump Biden debate, because Pence didn't so much interrupt as just not stop talking. That's what was mostly going on. I think that certainly the most bizarre moment was when fat lip, pink eye Pence had a fly stuck in his hair, and it just refused to leave. That was very, very interesting moment. But something did seem to be going on with Mike Pence's left eye. It's unclear whether it's a blown blood vessel, which can happen from a lot of coughing, if indeed he had COVID. And it could be conjunctivitis, which sometimes goes with coronavirus. We just really don't know, but it was a very, very ugly thing that took place there. So we're going to look at that strongly, and I assume that soon we will, if Mike Pence does test positive, we will probably find out about it relatively soon. We are at 98 website members. My guess is we might get the number we're looking for, which is 100, in which case I will open phone lines at davidpakman.com/discord. Some people via Super Chat are saying, underwhelming is a win. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything happened that would dramatically change the polling. I see B. Coldy over on Twitch. B. Coldy is my brother-in-law by partnership first removed, who says, what a crazy friggin' debate. When will we get a moderator that can actually handle these people? Yeah, I think Susan did a better job than Chris Wallace by far, but I don't think it was like amazing. I don't think it was amazing, but it was okay. And certainly better than what we saw from Chris Wallace. And again, the problem today was not really one so much of interruption, but she said halfway through the debate, you've had much more speaking time than Kamala Harris has. I would be shocked if he didn't end up with significantly more speaking time. All right, we are at 101 website members. The goal was 100. Let's take some calls. These are the rules, okay? davidpakman.com/discord. Go into the waiting lobby if you want to get on, and change your nickname to first name from where you're calling from. So like I would put in, David from Paris if I were in Paris right now. If you are a doctor, put that in your nickname. You just right click your username and change nickname on our server. If you're a doctor, I would be interested in hearing from you about what you think is going on health wise for Mike Pence based on this. All right, let's try it. Let's go first, okay? We are going to go to, we're starting with Bridget. Bridget, can you hear me? And what was your thought about tonight's debate? Oh, now it's switched to Renee from Indiana.
I hear you.
Is this
it
Bridget
wasn't
or
exactly
Renee?
the best debate ever. I wish that the moderator could cut the mic. But I don't understand why Susan Page didn't call out Mike Pence on some of the lies, as far as the late-term abortion thing. That is complete bull.
Well, the whole idea of the moderator as
Late-term
a
abortions are
as a
usually done for medical reasons.
Can you hear me at all, Renee slash
You know,
Bridget?
like, the fetus may have anencephaly
Oh my God.
and, not have, not be able to live
Yeah.
after it's born. And, most abortions are done around 10 or 12 weeks.
Renee, can you hear me?
If there's a medical problem, it's usually done up to 24, and I think that that's a pretty logical cutoff point.
Bridget?
And when Mike Pence was governor here, he was trying to make it to where we had funerals for fetuses.
Renee, can
which
you
is
hear me?
just absolutely ridiculous. And I was glad to see him, not be governor of Indiana anymore, but I'm really, really sorry. I apologize to everybody for
Bridget?
foisting him from the country.
Bridget, can you hear me? Okay.
And I guess that's it.
All right. Renee slash Bridget, thank you. Thank you very, very much for for joining me. Wow, what a mess. What an absolute mess. Okay, let me go here to wow. It's just there's so many people that want to get on. I'll just pick somebody randomly here. How about let's go to oh, I think I know who this is. Let's hope she can hear me. Sabrina from Boston. Is this Sabrina from Boston College? Sabrina? Sabrina left. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's go to what a mess. Now we're with Matthew from Texas. Matthew from Texas, you are live. Matthew from Texas, you are on. Oh my God, he's listening on a delay. Matthew, you got to listen in Discord. I can tell that.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So this is Matthew. I just watched the debate, of course, with everyone.
Yeah.
I thought that Kamala was
Kamala.
more on Kamala. Thank you.
Thank you.
not the drug from that show.
Battlestar.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I thought she was underwhelming. More, I expected more. I agreed with you that she did well with the COVID. I was surprised that she didn't come back against late-term abortions. I'm actually not sure if that's true. Do you know
her position on late-term abortion?
Yes.
I can't imagine she's for it.
Right. So I would have thought that would have been one piece that she would have objected to, said, no, absolutely not. Our administration would not, be for abortion up to the moment before birth. I mean,
usually the way that the right way to answer that in a debate, usually I think like a lot of this stuff is, focus grouped. The right way to deal with that often is to say, the reality is that late-term abortion is extraordinarily rare. It is an extremely difficult decision to make and typically involves a situation where the health of the mother is in question. I'm not going to insert myself as if I know what should be done in every one of those situations. And certainly Mike Pence doesn't know, that's sort of the way you would want to deal with that question.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing before you let me go, I work at an emergency room in southern Texas. And as a Democrat down here, most of the people I work with, the doctors, the nurses, they're all otherwise intelligent people. And yet they, with the greatest majority, support Trump. And I can't bring my head to just understand that. I mean, even if they're for, certain aspects and so on, but no, they're like totally Trumpist.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's a
And
virus.
it is. And you talk to them about just anything, any kind of intellectual conversation, and they have reasonable responses and views.
Yeah.
Except when it comes to this. And now they're becoming more and more outspoken as far as just on their social media, which is fine. Whatever, they have their opinions. It doesn't bother me. We all get along, but it's confounding, honestly.
It
and
truly
sad.
is, and I don't envy you for what you're dealing with down there.
Anyway, thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure. Great to hear from you. Let's go to Solange from Miami. Oh no, Solange is gone. Solange, I was going to pick up on you, but Solange is gone. All right, that's too bad. Let's see, where are we going next? Let's go to, we've got a lot of people named Jordan. Let's pick up on one of these Jordans. How about Jordan from North Carolina? You can unmute yourself and let me know what you thought. What's going on? Jordan, you're going to have to unmute for me to hear you. I can see that you are muted. I have not muted you, but Jordan, you're on. And Jordan is gone on that note. All right, no more Jordan. A lot of people getting a little gun shy when it gets down to it. Let's go next to Sebastian from New York. Sebastian, what's going on?
Hi. During the debate, some of they talked about China, but I'm kind of surprised that Trump and Pence don't talk about how China has acted in, for example, Xinjiang in Hong Kong. Do you think that they will try to focus more attention on relationships with perhaps Taiwan?
No, I don't think so. You're saying from the standpoint of in debates? Sebastian? Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm hearing you in the stream, which is a delay. So now
Yeah,
I'm probably
that's
going to
not
be
good.
talking
You
while
want
you're
to
talking.
talk to me in Discord. Okay. Sebastian, loved hearing from you. Thank you so much. You got to listen in Discord, though, if we're going to be able to have a conversation. No, they're not going to talk about what's going on in Hong Kong or Taiwan, at least in debates, because they have no idea what's going on. They would be able to say nothing intelligent about it. And I don't think that it is, quite frankly, a voting issue at this point for the American people. So I don't expect that at all. Okay, let's see who else we've got. I'll do a couple more of these. It's not going super well right now, but we're doing it. I offered it. Let's go to Jeff from Boston. Jeff, no Boston caller is going to embarrass us, so I'm going directly to you so you can save us.
No embarrassment here, David. Good to be. Thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I thought the debate went well for Senator Harris. She started off very strong, and other than that initial obliteration on COVID.
Yeah.
I don't think she really replicated as much of an attack against Pence.
Agree. From the first, when she came out of the gate, I thought, oh my God, Pence is going to have to fake COVID and leave. And he may really have it now, but he would have had to at least, maybe not knowing it, say, I got to go. I'm not feeling so well. But then it was just sort of like, okay, I mean, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little disappointed. I think she had some really good opportunities. Specifically, they were always criticizing on the Green New Deal. And I know their campaign position is that the Green New Deal they've taken it as a framework. And I thought she had a very good opportunity to quickly distinguish that.
I agree with you.
Kind of
I
led
agree
into
with
it.
you. And listen, Jeff, it's like, I'm no great political strategist in any way, but can't someone go to her and say, listen, Kamala, when they go on Green New Deal, the way you approach it is you say, listen, the Green New Deal, much like so many upstart activist ideas that we've had, and I'm riffing here, so this may not be exact. The Green New Deal, much like the idea of Medicare for all, much like all of these great American ideas that we've had because we're a country of ideas and entrepreneurs, is a fantastic framework to build our platform from. And so while we don't support the Green New Deal, the Green New Deal's focus on getting off of dirty fuel is great. The Green New Deal's focus on getting to renewable, you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm not literally saying what she should say,
exactly.
but you frame it in that way where you just go positive and you say, why wouldn't we take the great ideas of people like Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey and so on, and we've come up with something, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And I really think that this debate would have been the time for kind of those nuanced answers where she can really dig into the details. I just don't think any of the presidential debates between, Trump interruptions or Biden speaking, they're really going to be able to get into that kind of nitty gritty that I think, Senator Harris would have been able to highlight very well tonight.
Agree. Yeah, I think there were definitely some missed opportunities.
Agreed.
Jeff, what part of Boston are you in?
I'm in Quincy, so just outside of South Boston.
Okay. Yeah, I've been there twice. I don't pretend to know too much about it, but not a bad downtown developing there.
No, yeah, a lot of construction right now, but it's a good area.
Yeah, and have you been on the Red Line recently?
I have not, no. I have been remote working since March, so I haven't really been out too much, not in the city at least.
I've been wondering if it's a shit show on the Red Line, but all right, Jeff, great to hear from you.
Yeah. Hey, good to hear from you too. Have a good one.
There we go. Mayan Riv says via Super Chat that I should go on the H3 podcast. They had Hassan on. I sent Ethan a message on Twitter today because he does follow me and likes my tweets. I said, Ethan, I would love to do something with you. And anybody who wants to encourage Ethan to have me on the podcast, I think that it would be a great opportunity to be on the H3 podcast. All right, let's take a couple of these other ones. Let me see who we've got. I know there's a lot of people holding, and there's like 100 people right now. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody, but let's see who else we can get to. Let's go to Crystal from Massachusetts. Crystal, you're on live. Hey, Crystal. And Crystal's gone. All right, very good. No Crystal. Let's go to Bethany. Bethany from Oklahoma is on. Bethany, you should be able to unmute yourself, and then we'll be able to hear you. Bethany, you are muted. You are on but muted, and you will have to unmute yourself in order for me to be able to hear you. There you are, Bethany. Okay, you unmuted, but we still can't hear you, so there must be some other issue going on. All right. Must be an input-output problem, Bethany. And Bethany's gone. There it is. And just like that, Bethany is gone. All right, let's see who else. I'd like to get another woman on, if possible. Let's see. Oh, hold on. This should be interesting. It's Pauline from Australia. Pauline from Australia, you're on. And we heard Pauline just briefly, and now she is gone. Okay, we're going to Ruth from Canada. Ruth from Canada, you are on, and Ruth disconnected. Wow, a lot of people just really not, they're just bailing. All right, let's go to Zach from Jersey. Zach from New Jersey, you are on. You can unmute yourself, and then I'll be able to hear you. Zach from New Jersey, you are self-muted. Please unself-mute.
Hello?
Yes, there you are.
Hi, David. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I have to agree with your analysis. I think that there wasn't a lot going on with this debate. Seems like at least the people in my general circle aren't going to change their opinions based on this. But when you compare it to the last debate, I mean, this was almost a nothing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If we believe that the polls are more or less accurate and Trump's behind, a debate that's sort of a non-factor is very bad for Donald Trump because he's got 26 days to go.
Right.
So I think that while you are
it's definitely
correct,
not a bad thing. I'm not upset about it, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. No, but I think at this point, it'll be a question as to, we'll get another week of polls before the next debate, if indeed there is going to be one. and then we will see what, if anything, happens. The latest polls are very bad for Trump, and we'll see where we are in a week.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for taking my call. Congrats on 1 million, and looking forward to the rest of these debates. Hopefully.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. Great to hear from Zach. And let's do what. Okay, guys, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 7 people named Ryan holding right now. Do you guys want to hear from Ryan from Asheville, Ryan from Irvine, Ryan from Maryland, Ryan from North Carolina, or Ryan from Texas? Which Ryan do you guys want to hear from? Irvine? Yeah. Oh, Ryan from Irvine. Okay, yeah, let's try Ryan from Irvine. I like that. Ryan from Irvine, California, you are on. Ryan? Let's just, while he gets going, I'm going to add...
Hey, David.
Ryan from Asheville.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, is this Ryan from Irvine or Ryan from Asheville?
Yes,
this is
second,
Ryan
sorry.
from Asheville. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Ryan from Asheville, what's on your mind first?
Hello, David. I'm just calling from the beautiful mountain city of Asheville, North Carolina. I just want to say you are a beautiful man, and I love your show, First Time Caller. Anyway, do you think Kamala Harris should have gone a little harder on Mike Pence in this debate? Kamala, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Do you think Kamala should have gone a little harder on Mike Pence in this debate? I mean, it was a little bit of a snooze fest, don't you agree?
I do think so. Ryan from Irvine, talk to Ryan from Asheville. No. But you guys are both on. Hold on. Let me moderate, Ryan. Ryan from Irvine, do you agree with Ryan from Asheville that Kamala should have gone harder?
I think so, but it's also a position where she's a woman.
Yeah.
And anytime a woman goes hard, really anywhere, especially in a stage like this, it's difficult. It comes off the wrong way.
This is the Martha Stewart thing.
Yeah, where it's easier to take the high road rather than opening yourself up to easy criticism against your sex.
Let me see what Ryan from Maryland. So Ryan from Maryland, Ryan from Asheville thinks Kamala should have gone harder. Ryan from Irvine is worried that had she done that, it could have been perceived the wrong way. Ryan from Maryland, where do you weigh in on it?
I apologize. I actually just got connected in and missed missed that.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, in that case, let me check with Ryan from Texas. Ryan from Texas, Ryan from Maryland only recently got connected. Do you agree more with Ryan from Asheville or Ryan from Irvine? Ryan from Texas, are you there? No. All right.
This is a Ryan-themed disaster.
Yeah, all right. Okay, very good. Ryan from Asheville, do you think you're better than the other Ryans?
Oh, of course. Just obviously, I mean, just from where I'm located, my voice, just the general air of confidence about me. These other Ryans have nothing to offer.
Ryan from Maryland, do you want to broach a new topic? Because you didn't get to weigh in on, you didn't get to propose a topic.
Well, I'd like to say that, Ryan from Asheville sounds like a beautiful guy. Asheville is a beautiful place. So you may have one up on me in a couple situations. But I wanted to say, I enjoyed watching this debate. I didn't feel as drawn to the edge of my seat as I did during the previous debate. But looking forward, I've been phone banking for the Biden campaign since the summer, and I've been speaking with just different kinds of voters who really hold all kinds of different perspectives. And I following the previous debate, I'm not seeing them have these very public displays of ineptitude having any sort of effect on the undecided voters, these mythical voters, but I am speaking to some on the phone, so I'm not really seeing it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think the person to weigh in on that would be Ryan from Westchester. Let me bring him in. Ryan from Westchester, and then we'll go back to the panel. Oh, no, Ryan from Westchester is actually gone. That's too bad. Let's actually, the perfect person will be Ryan from Washington. Ryan from Washington, do you think that when the debate goes kooky, do you think that it affects undecided voters?
Hey, David, how's it going?
Good.
Thanks for Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. I think Kamala Harris did well. I feel like it was a regular political debate instead of what Trump and Biden was. Which
it was more normal.
It was anxiety-inducing. It was all those things. I think it was Ryan from Boston made a really good point about her taking the high road.
There's no Ryan from Boston. That's not someone who's on this call.
Was it Austin? I'm sorry. There were so many. Yeah, you know who you are, Ryan. Thank you.
Asheville was
but
it?
I'm sorry. There's so many.
No, definitely not Asheville.
Yeah, there's so many and so much going on. But I feel like Democrats always take the high road, and I feel like she did well. She hit her points. I'm a African American male in the U.S. and I feel like she had to make herself known. She said she won't be told by Pence like who's on when he talked about her career as a prosecutor and all that. So I feel like she asserted herself, but not too much to where on the news the Republicans are going to say Kamala Harris was all the bad things they say about Black women. So I feel like she did good as a debater, as a VP, and I really hope people see that she tried to be a reasonable person and didn't want it to devolve in what the Trump-Biden debate was.
I think that's a completely reasonable take. Listen, Ryans, I am going to have to pull all of you guys out of here because it's just, we did it and we did the Ryan thing. Now everybody is taking the name Ryan in the call, in the waiting thing. But that's it was good while it lasted. In all seriousness, though, there was one other person here I wanted to try again with. Teresa from Austria. It must be very late in Austria right now. What's going on, Teresa? And you are muted right now. You need to unmute yourself. Teresa from Austria, you are self-muted. You have full control. You can unmute and talk to me at any time if you so please. Maybe Teresa's sleeping. I mean, it's the middle of the night in Austria. All right. And on that note, we are ending the live calls portion of the evening. I really want to thank everybody who joined me today. Make sure on the way out, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit the follow button on Twitch, hit the like button. I will play us out with the newest track from Joseph Woodward. The new track, this is the same artist of the great Plasma track. The latest track is Don't Be Afraid of It. To play us out, we will be back for the next debate, if there is one, very, very soon.
Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. I just left Walter Reed Medical Center. And I learned so much in coronavirus. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. Don't be afraid of it. Felt great, like better than I have in a long time. Don't be afraid of it. I didn't feel so good. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the coronavirus. Don't be afraid of it. And now I'm better. Maybe I'm immune. I don't know. Be afraid of it. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Be afraid of it. Don't let that happen. We're the greatest country in the world. Be afraid of it. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there. Be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and they're all happening very shortly, and they're all getting approved, and the vaccines are coming momentarily.